something inside, yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you, yeah. No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide it anymore. I need to know if you'll give me a second chance. They don't come around often, but please, you know I can't stand it when you don't talk to me, when you don't talk to me, yeah. There's something inside, yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you, yeah. No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide it anymore. I don't know why, but I can't seem to get you off my mind. And I know it's true, and I'll say this to you, I want you back. There's something inside, yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you, yeah. No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide it anymore. Something inside, something inside. Oh, yeah. There's something inside, yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you, yeah. No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide it anymore. I need to know if you'll give me a second chance. They don't come around often, but please, you know I can't stand it when you don't talk to me, when you don't talk to me, yeah. There's something inside, yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you, yeah. No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide.
Hello, everybody. Oh, the music is already there. I'm already all on board. I'm so excited for this game. I've been a Kickstarter backer since it actually first, like the day it launched. I subscribe to Fail Better Games newsletter, so I've been keeping up with all of the dev stuff. I've been just so ecstatic for this game. Thank you. I've tried to look like one of the characters. So, if you came to any of my Sunless Skies streams, you saw that I like to cosplay just a little bit while I'm playing, especially these games. Thank you. I don't wear them off. They're more for distance, so I definitely rarely wear them on screen, but it just kind of went with the outfit. So, how are you doing today, Jay? Anyway, this music is really loud. I love it, but I think we're going to turn you down a bit. Let me know. Oh, you guys can't hear the game audio. Oh, no. There you go. Now you can hear it. It's so good. I'm so ecstatic. Okay. These are very text-heavy games, so obviously already have captions on. I can change fonts. That's really cool. And the size. How about we go with large? I'm good. I'm okay with cursive fonts. I'm sure they will autoplay. Yeah, don't autoplay. Please don't. I want the text to reveal a little faster. Yeah. Nice. All right. So, I've not gotten into this game at all. Brand new to me. Very excited. Your first foray into Mask of the Rose is unlikely to end as happily as you might hope. Never mind. Savor your successes. Delight in your disasters. Try again, wiser in the ways of the Neath. The city is thick with secrets, but they can't hide from you. I love failing in these games. They're so much fun. I'm along for the ride. I'm not expecting to win. I think we did decently in Sunless Skies because we had saves enabled, so we could go back in if we died. But Sunless Seas doesn't even have that option. It took me like hundreds of hours before I beat the game once. That's just how Fail Better Games makes their games. So I'm okay with us not succeeding. And I hope you guys are in for the ride too. In February 1862, with no warning at all, London fell through the surface of the earth. This is giving you the background of the whole Fallen London setup if you're not familiar with it, so don't worry, you do not have to be familiar with the previous games. Fallen London, I think this happens right before Fallen London, or simultaneously with Fallen London, which is just after the fall. Sunless Seas and Sunless Skies are well after what we're playing, so they do not impact this story at all. This was meant to be a year of progress and industry, the Great Exposition, trams, a new sewer system. Instead, we find ourselves dwelling in a cave. It's October now. The fires have been put out. The bodies have been buried. But the future remains unimaginable, the time before impossibly distant. You know this is really early on in the timeline because we're still using normal calendar like October. All right, who are we? The dock worker's child. My father worked in the docks, unloading ships. My uncle was a sailor. We were on the right side of the law, but the same couldn't always be said for our friends. Docks are allied with the working class and with criminals. Solid. Child of the gentry. My family had an estate on the surface. My father was a magistrate. All that is unreachable now, of course. I had the bad fortune to be in London during the fall, and now there's no going back. But I do have a few connections here. The landed gentry hobnob in high society and with the constabulary. A tailor. I'll lean more towards this, but we'll see what all the options are. My family kept a tailoring shop with aspirations. We dressed our customers better than we dressed ourselves. Shopkeepers have contacts with society, but their own origins are more humble. They may also have some contacts among the artistically inclined. I'm leaning the most towards this, but let's see what our options are. Oh, there's options that we can't be until we've completed playthroughs. A housebreaker's child. My father was a housebreaker. His father was a highwayman. We came down in the world, no longer doing our crimes on horseback. And then my father was arrested. An undertaker. My family were undertakers. We knew everything there was to know about procuring hearses, hiring mourners, and dressing a body. An arcane academic. Ooh, that would be fun, but we have to complete the game. I studied esoteric writings, the hierarchies of spirits, the language of angels, the practical powers of creation. All right, we're going to go with a tailor. I love that there's origins that we don't get until we've played. Replayability, baby. Down here, your name is whatever you say it is. Often, there's no one left to remember who you used to be. Some people hold tight to the names they carried before. Some reinvent themselves completely. Ooh, what shall we do? I love Feel Better Games for their address system. It's all of, like, gender binary does not matter whatsoever. So we've got Monsieur, Madame, Mademoiselle, Miss, Madam, Sir, My Lord, My Lady, Citizen, Comrade, Captain, Lieutenant, Doctor, Professor, Officer, Secretary, Brother, Sister, Reverend, Intendant. Ooh. Oh gosh. I usually go with Comrade, but I like that better when I'm in, like, fallen London or sunless seas and being, on a ship. How should our tailor be addressed? I'm leaning either towards Miss or Citizen. Rowan is fun. Moira. I might go with that one. Llewellyn. Joshua. Wong. Judith. Ayatunde. Rhiannon. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Jean-Paul. Nathaniel. Romesh. Radcliffe. Seda. Paul. Amal. I mean, obviously I could type whatever I want in here too. I'm just really bad at naming. George. Mahmoud, Vivian, Carlos, Sophia, Harda, Henry, Simisola, Fatima, Elijah, Morgan, Gabrielle, Siobhan, Yang, Wei, Yasmin, Kaido, I'm not sure. Angus, Bihaya. I'm bad at names. Jamie, Robin, Frankie, Deirdre, Seamus, Tobias, Yusuf, Charity, Liz, Marie, Sona. If anybody has any suggestions, go ahead and call it out. Leslie Ann, Adinke, Q, Stuart, Constance, Nazir, Adelaide, Yarrow, Pandita, Anthony, Ollie, Eliza, Oni. See, this is why I should do this in advance in my time. Oh, we're actually circling back through people. So there is a limit to the names they have in here. I'm trying to, like, the first one I land on of, like, one of the ones I really liked, we will stick with that. Oh. Moira wasn't that I liked, so we're gonna go with that. Moira. That's me. Moira to my friends, citizen to strangers. That's how I was dressed even before London fell. I'm a different person down here than I was above. Down here, I'm finally able to use the name that always fit me. I like that one. Ooh! Look at all these portrait options. I kind of like these two. These bottom two. Bottom middle two. There's so many good options, though. Ah. We're gonna go with this one because I like the, like, feathers as a tailor. In the Neath, a true ally means everything. When I find people to be close to, I am open to... I love this. So I love romance games anyway. They're fun to me. But This game actually lets you choose friendship, but no romantic emotions or physical intimacy. Friendship and physical intimacy, but no romantic emotions. Friendship and romantic emotions, but no physical intimacy, and whatever comes my way. We're gonna go. I am a romantic, and I rarely get to use that in stuff. So we're gonna go with friendship and physical intimacy, but no romantic emotions. Let the arrow romance playthrough begin. I'll be seeking options for seduction and physical connection. Friendship and matchmaking are possible too. I'm just not looking to fall in love. I love it. So good. Let's go. Right now I'm meant to be helping with the census, finding out who still lives in my neighborhood. The first census results are due tomorrow. If I turn them in, I get paid. The first money to come my way in nearly 2 months. If I don't, I'm going to disappoint Grizz badly. Who's Grizz? She knew I was in trouble, so she went out of her way to find me work with her own employers. She even gave me a badge to show my affiliation. New item acquired. Badge of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. The front of the badge looks almost like a constable's badge, with the lion and unicorn blazoned on it. The back of the badge has some kind of symbol I don't recognize, hot to the touch. Interesting. I keep it with the clothes I have from before the fall, and a few odd items I found more recently. I get to set outfits! Not a very sophisticated look, not much of a look at all. I don't have any hats. I don't have anything for my face. We're gonna wear the badge because we're supposed to be doing that. Fake but vibrant corsage. The most obvious thing about this flower is that it is extremely fake. Perfect for going out on the town, boasting and gallivanting. Okay, so we're wearing our badge. And we're going to wear our tailor's apron. The apron speaks to a shopkeeper's life. Helpful, cooperative, but with a gift for invention and a true appreciation of craft. Nice. That'll do. I love that it looks like we're not wearing shorts or pants. I assume we are, and we just don't get to choose those. But, you know, who knows? Oh, that's who I'm dressed as. I'm dressed as Grizz. I don't have the tie, though. Ah, I thought you were up here. She glances at the badge I'm wearing. I suppose I should be glad you're thinking about the census, even if you didn't get around to leaving the house. I react to that the way I react to many things these days. I dare to name the frightening things out there. I lie. I turn it into a joke. Ooh. What kind of personality do we want to have? I'm going to joke about it because that's usually what I do in these games when I have these options. I thought I'd wait for a change in the weather. A lovely snow, perhaps? There's no sunshine down here. There are no yellow pea soup fogs. There's no rain, except occasionally a fine mist. Londoners lost half our topics of conversation when we fell. Come tomorrow evening, we need to have at least a few census forms filled out. Or I'm going to be the one explaining to Mr. Pages. Yeah, the relationship options in this game are one of the things I was most excited about. They were talking about the development system. And if that happens, I'm not going to help you with your employment prospects again. Grizz works for the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. It seems to agree with her. She wears trousers to work and comes home at all hours. It's very important to her being taken seriously by these employers. The next thing I do is characteristic 2. Compliment her, reassert control, be open and build trust. I'm going to be open and build trust. She's my friend, and clearly I like her a lot. I'm sorry. To be frank, I didn't like the look of the city today. Too many dark alleys. I'll see we have something to turn in. You still have some time tomorrow. She gives me a hard look, as though she could just stuff some integrity into a person just by glaring hard enough. What do you think of the questions? They're written in the most peculiar spiked handwriting, and there are punctures in the paper in random spots. Tease her as though I think it's her handwriting, jokingly defend my reading ability, admit I haven't read them. I'm going to jokingly defend my reading ability. Are you saying you don't think I can read? This is not the usual writing. Here, try the questions on me. Say you've just knocked on the door and I have come to answer it. Yes, what do you want? Introduce myself as an agent of the ministry showing my badge. Good evening. On behalf of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting, I have a few questions. Oh, how lovely. I am so grateful these ministries are looking after us. Straightforwardly accept her performance. Sarcastically accept. Flirtatiously riffed on how excellent the ministry is. Read out the first. I'm going to flirt. Because flirting is fun. I agree. Everyone you meet there is so good looking. Clever, too. You have not met some of my colleagues. Jokingly speculate. You said the masters wear robes and hoods and that you haven't seen their faces. Maybe they have faces like angels and they just don't want us to be frightened off. I've wondered. They're magnetic in a way. How many people live in this establishment? Is that a word? Establishmentation? Oh, it's, yeah, my brain cut off at establishment. Pretty sure establishmentation is not a word, but maybe I'm wrong. My superiors are enthusiastic embellishers of the language. If you like, you can translate into questions that are more likely to be understood. Right. How many people live in this establishment? 4. The landlady, Mrs. Horatia Chapman, a young man named Archibald Reed, myself, and a 4th character, very disreputable. Hey! Joke that she's not counting the vermin, or build trust. Build trust. I'm not a secretive person, Grizz. If I seem disreputable, you only have to ask about it. Yes, maybe, but then you might expect me to answer any of your questions. Sometimes I'm in the mood to keep chatting, and sometimes I want to get to the point. Linger. Is anyone in this establishment enamorificated or impassionated? What does that even mean? They're asking if anyone here is in love. Just ask that. Is anyone here in love? No. Teaser. If you wanted to discuss our romantic inclinations, Chris, there are easier ways. You didn't have to ask me to survey all our neighbors on the topic. No. At this moment, of course, Archie has to turn up. What up, Archie? Ooh, the zoom there. Archie is a medical student. He hasn't finished his training before the fall, but he has plenty of work now. Right after the fall, it was broken bones and cuts. Lately, there are fewer wounds and more diseases. I wondered where you are. I know what accent they want. That is not an accent I can do. I'm going to flirt with everybody because that's what I do in real life. Hello there, Archie. Couldn't wait to see me at supper then? That wouldn't be why I'm here, I'm afraid. Grizz laughs. How'd I went this morning to visit a patient, and what do I find pasted upon the wall? He holds up a broadsheet. There's a new decree from the Ministry of Cartography and Chirography that all maps and atlases are to be surrendered or put on the fire. It's your folk making these rules, Grizz. We can be trusted with whatever she knows. You can tell us. We're trustworthy. I'm even working for the ministry. You have yet to actually do anything for the ministry. I have the badge, and I've been trained. Will you be asking your Mr. Pages about these maps? Grizz gives me a long look. My brother warned me about succumbing to wiles. The Ministry of Chirography and Cartography is new. I don't think that existed yesterday. Let her draw her own conclusions. Very well. I'll see what I can find out about this, but it might take some time. Moira, please do collect at least a few census forms by tomorrow. from what Londoners you are able to find. At the end of the day, I'll find you and we can take them to Mr. Page's together. Okay. Deliver a filled census form to Pages. Okay. I'm excited to meet Mr. Pages. I love the Masters. Their design is just... mwah. She gives me a long look before she goes. Oh, Archie's sticking around. Well, next time I'll not come in without knocking. I'll cough a few times so the two of you can separate. Let's go there. Archie may be jealous. Contemplate the possibility Grizz doesn't have an interest in me. Register polite, not intimidate. I don't want to intimidate Archie. I'm gonna continue flirting. Is that jealousy speaking, Archie? Ugh, no. Do you figure you'll be making me up to the Lady Griselda? I'd be in fear for my life. How are you feeling, dude? How are you holding up? You've cheered me up a sight, I'll give you that. I don't like to think of what happens if we can't escape back to where we came from. But I've been at work some concoctions on my own, and I do have hopes of these. Medicines to make up for what we cannot get from above. Turn the subject to the census. Grizz has me gathering census pages for the ministry. Grizz told me it was some such thing. Continue being quite open. I've heard all sorts of stories, so I doubt you will be able to shock me. Aha! You don't look like your heart is gladdened by true love, but I might have missed the signs. Are you engaged? Promised? I wouldn't say it's gone quite that far. You can write down that I enjoy someone's company if you want to tell your employer such a thing. What about before February? There was a lass back home, and what did me mother do but promise me to her? Go on. That sounds like a tale. What happened? It's not so uncommon, I think. Me mother was friends with this lass's parents. They were getting on in years and her not married, and of course the whole village knew her business. So me mother said she'd fix it up between us next time I were home, but I've not been back since. Seemed to me I ought to wait till I was finished with my studies. Might have been a better look to it. I know my accent's all over the place. I cannot get his accent down. My apologies. The question has stirred recollections he's not considered for a time. Is it bad to say I've not much thought of her since? She has very even teeth. What a compliment. My mother said out overlapping teeth in a woman mean defiance and gaps mean light skirts. I feel like that's something I don't get. I chuckle. There's stranger theories I heard in the medical lecture hall. And plenty of constables who thought we'd catch the criminals that road. Tell me about your work, dude. Is your income all from seeing patients these days? I did sell off a couple of model atlases just today. Censored maps sell for a good price if you know the right buyer. Ferret's vermin eradication takes in more than just rats. If I'd met the lack of you in Scotland, I might never have come to London. Rude. Oh, not rude. Opposite. If I had been in Scotland, he wouldn't have come. I completely misread that. Yeah, I'll flirt with you. You're cute. So you're wishing you'd met a copy of me instead of myself? I'm devastated. Oh, you take the words away from me and wrestle them into meaning something else. Welcome back. You know well enough what I'm saying. I do. Whoa. I keep track of everything in my journal. What conversations I've had, the plans I've made, how I'm feeling about other people. Review the day in my journal. Goals. Deliver a filled census form to Pages. Conduct more census interviews if there is time. Wait for Grizz to take me to see Mr. Pages. Okay? Acquaintances. Is me. My views on the life in the Neath are still forming. History day -124 pre-fall. Moved into Chapman's. Day 40 chaos. Began to use my true name. Day 220, confessions. Ask Grizz to help me find work. Nice. So I live in Chapman's boarding house, Thrall Street. So I have lived here since before the fall. Archibald Reed, seller of contraband goods to finance his medical charity. Boards with Horatia. His mom has a nice girl for him back home, but we're not getting back home. Spoilers, but our relationship simmers pleasantly. Perhaps it could become something more. Day -1, pre-fall. I've known Archie since shortly before the fall. Day 259, confessions. Archie joked about my feelings for Grizz. I finished taking the sense with Archie. Things are heating up between me and Archie. Grizz. Griselda Smith, clerk at the ministry. Household, boards with Horatia. Question mark on romantic interests. Our relationship simmers pleasantly. Perhaps it could be something more. Day -15, pre-fall. Grizz moved into Chapman's a short while before the fall. She wore gowns back then. Day 259, confessions. Grizz came to ask about my progress on the census. I've made no progress. Harjeet, we haven't met yet. Well, I mean, obviously she knows him. I just don't. Harjeet seen. I'm pretty sure it's seen. Occupation constable. Who knows where he lives or who he's interested in. The one to ask wherever I get lost or think I might be going to get lost. Day 0, mid-apocalypse. I first remember Harjeet from the night of the fall when he was patrolling the neighborhood. Horatia Chapman. We live in her boarding house. No, who knows what the occupation is? Right now, all we know is landlord, which... Household, keeps Chapman's and all its lodgers. Romantic interests? Relationship, landlady. I still owe her back rent. History, day -124, pre-fall. I moved into Horatia's. She gave me a good room and a stern speech about conduct in her house. Day 0, mid-apocalypse. We lived through the night of the fall in Horatia's basement. She looked after all her lodgers since. Nice. Oh, cool. We can go back and read the conversations if we need to. Neat. "260 days since the fall. 6 days remain in the season of confessions." The newspapers aren't what they used to be, but someone is still printing broadsheets these days. This morning's lies open on the table. Severe destruction renders southwest of London impassable. Reports of foreign population. So? Relive the fall of London. This will not cause time to pass. Ooh. Ooh. This is ominous hell's tower. I'm always reliving London's last night on the surface. Ales and stout. I try to put it out of my head, but it's still there. The dimming of the sun at 3 in the afternoon. The sky turning the color of rust. The horrible bang and the cloud of dust from the direction of Westminster. The tolling of the bells. The horseman who rode down the street, liveried in the garb of the palace, shouting, "In Her Majesty's name, go indoors!" And then the sky was full of bats. More bats than I thought could exist in the world. Wheeling, shrieking, defecating. People went indoors then, if they'd ignored the criers. Those that had no house crowded into the churches and under the bridges. Even now, I don't understand. Why Parliament collapsed, how Her Majesty knew to send criers, that so many bats could exist in the world. Spoilers because we've played the later games. I do know, but our character does not. How Her Majesty knew to send criers. Be suspicious of the Majesty. The palace has been shuttered since that day. The royal family do not emerge. Surely, if they had known this was coming, they would have departed London. It was only the city that fell. The rest of England, we assume, remains above. Oh. I reckon it's a tornado. I heard something similar in the Welsh Hills back in 1760. A light in the sky and a noise like a thunderclap. That's no tornado, love. It's a plague of Egypt. I intervene before they annoy another. I let them talk. I've seen tornadoes. They've come and then they move right on again, and they aren't made of bats. They say the tornado scattered livestock every which way. Sheep on the rooftops and that. Then the ground shook again. I believe we can blame Mr. Belzeget's excavations, digging about under London, causing a seismic disturbance. And what did he find down there but a cave of 3 million bats? Is that what you reckon? There are stranger things beneath London. That was the beginning of it, but we were down there for hours and hours. The sky darkened, and it didn't return to normal. Once, around midnight, Grizz went upstairs and opened the door to the street, but she came right back down again. She said the cobbles were galloping about. It wasn't safe to walk outside. After that first bit, the memories collide and get confused. I have trouble keeping track of which came first and which came later, and whether I'm imagining something. Achievement unlocked, Catabasis. I've spent a lot of days like this, thinking back, trying to piece together the bits of the puzzle. As if I could realize something that would make sense of it all. Yeah, living through London's fall would be very spooky. Do I need to adjust my current outfit? No, I still don't have anything else. Head outside! Venture out into London. Time will pass as you explore the city. Ooh. Boarding house. Thrall Street. Looks like I've got stuff to do here. I could do it with Horatia. Probably does. Just let me change it every day. Just outside my front door. Surely these are the same streets that were always here. Take the census with Harjeet. Harjeet. It's worth it to be mindful of how others will perceive me, what role I play, what I can and cannot say is constrained by my clothes. This was true before the fall, but it's even truer now. Names, identities, and relationships have all become so unsteady and unreliable. Harjeet admires duty, but does not always care for the ministry. It's hard to say what impression the badge makes on him. I'm satisfied with this. The streets outside Mrs. Chapman's are not easy. Thanks to my family history, I do know where to find the nearest market that specializes in clothing. New location discovered. Hogs Lane Market. Likely just a corruption of Hogs Lane, but I'd keep my pet pig on a leash all the same. But whenever I need to find more of them, it's Harjeet who helps me. I have something for you if you want it. He produces a nearly new Admiral's hat in perfectly good condition. I found it near the docks. No sign of the owner, and I can't wear it myself. I thought someone at Mrs. Chapman's might get a use out of it. Perhaps Lady Griselda. Look at the hat! Neat! Trimmed with gold braid, it makes a person look like a respectable representative of the Navy. Wearing it gives me a commanding, if slightly curmudgeonly presence. Clothes make an impression on other people when I wear them. They make an impression on me, too. Sometimes I'm inspired to say things I wouldn't otherwise. I have the feeling this particular hat would make me a bit gruff and commanding. Put the hat on! Thank you. Mutter ungraciously, influenced by the hat. Take the hat off again. Try on the lapel flower rather than the badge. I'm just going to thank him. Oh, thank you kindly. He could have gotten a penny or two for it by selling it on to a second-hand clothes merchant. Harjeet does not comment on this. Explain that I'm working on the ministry on the census. Explain apologetically about the census. Establish my authority with the census. I'm going to explain he likes duty. Explain that I'm working for the Ministry on the Census. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I see. London was determined to collect everyone's name even before the fall. I agree it's a peculiarity of the English. It is a peculiarity of the English. You aren't the only ones who have ever counted your citizens. I know that. What do you wish to know? Simply ask about Harjeet's household. Do you live alone? At one time, I shared my lodgings. That was prior to the fall, but my former companion is missing. Huh. simply ask about his romantic connections. Are you married or otherwise connected? This is not a matter I would explain to most people. You and I have known each other for some time, however. I think you would hear me out kindly, but if you would rather not carry my secrets, I will keep his confidence. Decline from a dislike of other people's secrets. Decline lest the ministry learn too much. Ooh. But I want to know. I will keep his confidence. I believe I know what is expected in these situations. Even before the fall, I would not have married. My companion was not a lady. He was an officer who came to the Aww! We became acquainted, and then more than acquainted. I thought he and I would remain together throughout our lives. I followed him here, away from my own country and everything I knew, to the home of my former enemies. He promised me that it was worth the sacrifice. He said we would never be separated. You'll observe that he isn't here. Ah! Pungently condemn Harjeet's former lover, distract Harjeet with a joke. Oh, but he said he was missing. Not that, I don't know. He seems a little grumpy about it, but I would be worried that something is wrong. Okay, play it off with a joke. I nod sympathetically. I allow an appropriate interval to pass. Then I tell the one about the fungal rat. There is a short silence. There are so many things in my life that I share with no one. Things that are not secret or even private, but that are beyond companionship. The memory of my home, my faith, the intricate politics of the court and the whore, which I learned in childhood and cannot forget. Now I'm adding to those all the empty buildings that I alone see. Do you have any such things of your own, in which communication entirely fails? Talk about my friends at work. Answer truthfully about something else. Answer truthfully about something else. I answer with difficulty at first, but in more detail. The conversation turns on things I've never explained before. Harjeet listens with the same concentration I've seen when he was memorizing a fresh route through London. Ask what he thinks of London. I don't want to flirt with him. If his companion is missing... If you've seen other cities, what do you think of ours? It has been taken by surprise, which serves it right. Fair. No, you deserve a better answer. I do not like the city London was, and I do not like the city London will become. In time, she will remember her confidence and try to rule again, unless Lady Griselda and her type fail. But the cracked and lost part of London now, this is a place to love. Oh, that's a nice way to look at it. People have no choice but to meet as equals now and then. I'm going to decide I want Harjeet to be my friend. What are you thinking, I wonder? I have only platonic intentions toward Harjeet. Harjeet and I should be friends. I grin. I should go, but you... Oh, sorry, that was him. I should go, but you know where to find me. I am always here. I want him to be my buddy! There's time to run one more errand today before supper. I have a hat now! Trimmed with gold braid. It makes a person look like a respectable representative of the Navy. Look at my funny outfit. Ooh, do I want to go to Hog's Lane Market? No, I want to go talk to Horatia. Take the census with Horatia. Horatia doesn't attend much to what I wear. An indifference no doubt born of seeing us in all states. I'm satisfied with this. I find Horatia in the basement, taking inventory of our supplies. The night London fell, all Horatia's lodgers gathered in the cellar. Horatia led the hymns while we waited for dawn. Around 3 a.m, we admitted to ourselves that there wasn't going to be a dawn, today or any other day. Hello. I trust you're not having too much trouble with nightmares. Since the fall, we have all taken to greeting one another as invalids on the verge of death. The badge makes clear that I'm here for business, not conversation. Explain that I'm working for the Ministry on the Census. Unapologetically, because she's busy. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I've been sent to ask a few questions of the citizens of London, or those who survived at any rate. I'm not sure where what the masters have in mind. Oh, I'm not sure where what the masters have in mind. Nonetheless, it would be a help. I see. Simply ask whether Horatia had many suitors when she was younger. Did you have many suitors when you were younger? The butcher at the corner asked me a few times to be his wife. I couldn't say I was tempted. He had 7 children from his marriage before. I believe he was more attracted to the extra rooms in my house than to me. Yeah, no one likes to be used. There's something I need for dinner if you'd be willing to go. Yeah. Agreed, despite the chilly atmosphere. Why not? She rummages in a corner and returns with an assemblage of empty jars, which she piles into a bag for me. Take them to the market and get them filled, as many as you can. Oil first, then solids, whatever they've got. Don't let them sell you more than 1 jar of cricket flour. We can use it, but we don't go through much. As for the purple mushrooms, make sure they're dead. Don't accept the live ones. How will I know? If it jumps out of the jar, it's not dead. All right, fair enough. Okay, so no more than 1 jar of cricket flour, oil first, then food. Or then solids. Trip takes a long time. Half the stalls are already empty. Half of the remaining stalls are not offering anything we'd want. But I finished Horatia's commission in the end. Oh, I don't have to... Here was me thinking I have to remember these things. It occurred to me you might want the route to the church. Theophilus Withernwick will be good for the census, I'm sure. Follow Thrall Street to the place that looks like a dead end. Stand still and sing 2 verses of Pop Goes the Weasel. Then walk straight ahead and you'll find the street keeps going. It might be that another song will do as well, but for some reason that's the one I always use. St. Albans proto-martyr? St. Alban was the first English martyr, a point of considerable pride to the local vicar. It's the church of our parish. It isn't long until dinner is served. I'm going to get out of my hat and put my little boutonniere on. My corsage. I don't have anything else yet. That'll do. Grizz is waiting for me. Whatever census forms you have ready, it is time to take them to Mr. Page's. I'm ready. I sincerely hope that's true. Come with me. Once I've shown you how to reach the ministry, you can come back on your own and turn in others. Grizz has me gather my papers. With luck, Mr. Pages will decide to keep you on. With even more luck, he won't mind being asked about the Ministry of Chirography and Cartography. With that, she leads me outside and down a side street that is no longer named. The way to the bazaar is much longer than a straight line. First left, then right, then back again and again. Like trimming an evening gown, it's going to be a bother for the bother's own sake. I do not ask Grizz whether the masters require us to approach this way, or whether it is her own virtuosic embellishment. Finally, we find ourselves standing in its shadow under its walls. Before us is a low door that once, I think, belonged to a solicitor's office. Grizz takes out a key made of something other than metal and unlocks that door. Mind the pile of papers. I've already sorted them 3 times. Mr. Pages is very particular about the ordering of documents. Now, where has he gone? Usually he's here by this time of day. There he is! Hi, sir. Ah, there you are, sir. We were just coming to bring you the census documents. A first installment of many, I'm sure. There's a tone in her voice somewhere between fondness and a nanny guiding an untutored child. Ignore the mood between them or don't. I like that this option just says don't. Don't. I watch her curiously. She doesn't meet my eye. Does she have feelings toward it? Affection? Regard for a very strange and demanding pet? Or is it something more heartfelt? Is there something going on here? Mr. Pages, may I present Moira? Moira, this is Mr. Pages. The whole Ministry of Accounting and Recounting is under Mr. Pages' direction. Acknowledge the instruction. Express gratitude for the job. Stand well back and make no sudden moves. Don't need to be afraid of him. He's fine. Express gratitude for the job. Thank you very much for offering me employment. The opportunities in London aren't what they used to be. Grizz assures us that they are improvicated. It is highly gratifactory that the populace of London appreciates their move. Let that pass without comment. Or bow deeply. We're going to be super awkward and bow deeply. With the very powerful, one must align oneself carefully. What have you brought us? Hand over everything at once. Hand over a finished page sentence about Horatia, Archie, or Harjeet. Hand over everything at once. It considers my contribution. Ah, most interrogant. I'm probably saying some of these words wrong because, you know, the dramatic flair on the language. It gives me a shiny penny for my trouble. It's newly minted and has a portrait on the back of someone who is certainly not the queen. The face on the back of the coin stares at me until the hair prickles on my neck. It reminds me of a debt owed, and I don't want to remember, and my breath hitches and slows and resumes. Interesting. Deliver a filled census form to Pages. Provide Pages with 7 census forms. It turns over a page. Pages offers me 2 pennies from a jar, bringing my stash to 3. There are other coins in there and a few things that aren't even coins. Buttons, pearls, probably false, a horse head carved from ivory or bone. The quality of your information impresses us this time. It turns over a page. Mr. Pages takes the census page eagerly and spends some time scanning it. Whatever it finds, it considers impressive enough to offer us 2 pennies. But it is, I think, disappointed all the same. There is something it is looking for that it cannot find. The business of the census is done for now. Perhaps I've earned a question. Ooh. Ask what the romance accounts are about. Kind of. Which one do I care about more? What do you guys think? Maps or romance? Decisions. On another note, one of the YouTubers I watch used my handle for one of his spoof comments in his videos today. I was like, oh, it's me. I definitely never said that, but it's me. I'm going to ask what the romance accounts are about, because that's clearly what he's looking for. Why are you asking people about their romantic situation? Are you planning on any related laws or regulations? I can't imagine that. Yeah, same. The maps thing, I think, is just because they're not relevant anymore. You may consider the love stories remunerant in exchange for our generosity in the matter of food and clothing. Discover whether Mr. Pages is looking for tales of a saucy variety. Ask whether the stories have to be true. Is it important that these tales be truthful? London is full of fiction. There are more novels published every year, and half of the accounts in the newspaper are likely false as well. One might Experimentulate. Cool, so I could possibly bring him fake stories and see if he's fine with that. Grizz accompanies me out again when it is time to go. She makes a couple of remarks about how useful this will be, though she stops short of asking whether I'm in debt to Horatio. I haven't forgotten, though. Pay Horatio half my back rent. Okay, I can do that. As we make our way back to Horatio's, Grizz asks me what I think of Mr. Pages. She tries to make it sound like an idly curious question. Grizz has a crush on Mr. Pages. Promise to keep up with the job, at least till something better comes along. Make light of Mr. Pages' tailoring challenges. Nope, we're going to do the first one. I'll support you in your crush, girl. I tell her that I found him charming and pleasant. She pauses, surprised, but takes the lie at face value. Before we go back inside the house, she reminds me. We have many more people in the neighborhood to survey for the census. You know how it's done now, so you can collect them and take them to Mr. Pages yourself. I have other duties, and I may not always be there, but Mr. Pages is... Well, I'm certain you won't be harmed if you visit the ministry on your own. Silent language is an interest in Mr. Pages. I don't need to tease her about it. There's something in the tone of her voice. We should go inside. I can promote their connection. Let me be a matchmaker. I love that I was flirting with Grizz and Archie, but now I'm just like, nah, I'll help her get with him. I'll stick with Archie. Archie seems nice. Also, I'm sure there's way more options, too. Archie finds me upstairs after dinner. I cannot stop thinking of the Ministry of Cartography. There's something not right there. If you'd let me show you what I'm thinking of. I'm always interested in him. Any interest of yours is an interest of mine. Aye, well, it's a serious matter, so pay attention. Not that I mind you giving me that look. Carry on, just so you hear what I'm trying to tell you at the same time. It's a way of sorting out my thoughts. When I started, I was to think through a treatment. It was to think through a treatment. But it's good for all sorts. Stories, schemes, things that might be true, or things that don't have to be. While he's talking, he's getting out some bits of paper, written all over in his own handwriting. Watch closely. What you up to, sir? Learn about creating a story? Welcome to story crafting. From time to time, you'll be making stories about things you discover in the Neath. Ooh! Mechanics! Actual gameplay! Sometimes other people will ask you to bring them a story. They might want a true account, or they might want fiction. Either way, you'll come here to create the story they want. Ooh! I didn't read every dev post that came to me, but imagine that. Listen, I wasn't expecting anything from a romance game. I should have expected more from Fallen London, though. This is sort of how they operate. This is a slot. Slot contains elements of your story. This is a who slot, meaning it can contain a character featured in the story. Select the slot to continue. These are all the character tokens you could currently put in the slot. As you meet more characters in the game, you'll gain more options. Select one of the tokens to fill the slot and continue. I want Mr. Pages. This is a story about Mr. Pages. Excellent. You can select the slot again to choose someone else if you'd like. Otherwise, let's continue. Characters in the stories you craft here can be driven by motives, and these motives spur them to act. Tokens for actions and motives are represented by fragments of text rather than pictures. Assign a token to both the motive and action slots before you continue. Mr. Pages had unknown purpose. His action... He was employed in plotting. Mr. Pages, a master of the bizarre, driven by secret, unknown motives, engaged those around it in nefarious schemes. Well done, delicious friend. Let's continue. Not every story is a single-hander, of course, Commonly, a second character will feature as a friend, an enemy, or a victim. Select this new slot to continue. We're going to pick Grizz. Second person in your story needs to be different from the first. Notice that the token for the character you first chose is marked with a cross. If you assign that token to this slot, it'll vacate the first character slot. You can try that now. You may continue when both slots are filled. Grizz. Sometimes two tokens can't be placed together because they don't make sense together. More often, you can mix and match based on whatever you've learned about the world. You'll discover more variations in the course of play. Sometimes you'll be asked for a story where certain elements can't be changed. In that case, these slots will be locked. You can change everything else about the story, but not that piece. Well, Grizz definitely didn't fear Mr. Pages, so that means that's going to have to change. Finally, sometimes you can put an unknown into a slot. That means you think there's another possible answer, but you need to explore the world more to figure it out, find out what it is. Building a story with some unknown elements gives you a hypothesis you can ask other characters about. Interesting. Fill this final slot to continue. Took unknown action. New ministerial expose crafted. Question of fear. But this isn't right, because Grizz isn't afraid of him. When you get a message about a story completed that lets you know what kind of story you built. I'm hoping this is just a tutorial and it's not actually going to be embedded. You can now go and ask other characters about your idea. Whether you're done working on a story, finished or not, you can leave the story crafting board and go and tell other characters about your idea. You see how I'm coming at it. I'm trying to work out what Mr. Pages is about with the ministry. It's no use asking Grizz. You've seen that. Okay. Develop Archie's theory of what Mr. Pages is up to. Cool. Mr. Pages established a ministry rule forbidding mapping underneath. Mr. Pages has had purposes both unknown and unknowable. It established a ministry rule forbidding mapping underneath. And then something happened, presumably, but what? Londoner was gullible. Typical Londoner credulously believed its propaganda, even when it warned against using quite common street names. And obeyed. New ministerial expose crafted. Pages unknowable. Neat. Typical Londoner gullibly fell into line with everything that was required and never questioned whether Mr. Pages had some secret agenda. I like that setup. You may think Mr. Pages has some other notion of why it's acting so, but it doesn't comfort me much not knowing what that is. If you don't mind giving Mr. Pages all manner of stories about the people that live below, then you can go on with it. But if you'd rather another way to make your bread, I have a friend below that can take what we learn and put it about in the papers. I told them I knew someone that might be able to bring back a few secrets of the ministry. If you make up the questions you want to ask, you can investigate with anyone who might want an answer. Earn your pennies helping the citizens rather than those creatures in their blankets. But I like the masters. I guess, to be fair, I like the masters. My character wouldn't necessarily. Bring Archie theories about the ministry. Got it. Right? Mr. Page's title is Mr., but it still uses its pronouns. Yes. All of the masters in the Fallen London series do. They're all Mr., but they're all it or its. Earn your pennies helping the citizens rather than those creatures in their blankets. Promise to join Archie in the search. It sounds like it doesn't require upright penmanship. That makes it superior to census work right there. Don't it just? And the truth has its own value. I'm glad to hear you say so. It's no easy thing fighting the doubts on my own. With Horatia telling me I have the fidgets, and Grizz saying I should be quiet and trust our robe-wearing masters. I should let you get your sleep. That's the thing. Like, I could see, like, newly fallen people would not, like, anybody's title being master is like, no. I am not on board with that. You should feel free to come and talk with me anytime. My own room's not big enough to turn about in, of course. But you can find me in the parlor. I'm gonna seduce Archie. Make it insultingly clear I'm not interested even in friendship. Oh, that would be so mean. I don't know. It might be entertaining to try to fit in yours. You say that, but we might as well play act as being eels in a jar. When I came here, Horatia had little more than a cupboard free for new lodgers. But you've got more or less your own palace. I do have a nice room. Thanks, Archie. View the day in my journal. Okay, I gotta give 5 pennies to Horatia. Gotta do more pages. And work with Archie. Got it. I'd like Archie to become my lover, but we've only flirted so far. I like the way this is written. I discover I desire Archie. I discovered it. I didn't choose it. I discovered it. Grizz, this shouldn't be questions anymore. Grizz came to ask about my progress on the census. I've made no progress. I've made some now. I persuaded Harjeet to obey me on behalf of the ministry. Interesting. I don't know if I like the way that's worded. I would like to be friends with Harjeet. Very true. Former lover is missing. Can we help him find him? Had suitors accepted no proposal. I made the acquaintance of Mr. Pages. It is very tall. We haven't met Theo yet. Theophilus. Story crafting ideas discovered. Action sold contraband. Circumstances free fall. I know. I'm really bad at accents. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm trying to go the Scottish route, but yeah, it absolutely falls into Southern sometimes. I'm doing my best. I make no promises that the accents are going to improve whatsoever. I would love to watch an actual, like, British person do this and see how they fare on the accents, because I hear them more often than I do. Motive, sought, lost, beloved. Ooh, yeah. Action, advertised lodgings. Circumstance, the bizarre. Action, collected love stories. Just go full fantasy dwarf voice. I don't know how that would sound. Oh, like the really aggressive, like, oh, hi! 5 days remain in the season of confessions. I don't know how long this game is, y'all. Another morning, another newspaper. Archie bought one, and the headline reads, Ferrets menace eradication, seeks reliable employees unafraid of rats. Just the one headline, that's it. Do I need to recall the past? Craft, build a story. Offer Archie stories about the masters that might shock ordinary Londoners. Ooh, he collected love stories. New ministerial expose crafted. Student of the heart. Mr. Pages wished to bring London under its power, so it collected all of her love stories, the better to manage everyone who lived there. I feel like that would be right, but I don't know. Well, no, if I do this... unknown purpose, then I can ask people about it, I think. Head outside. Okay. I can go to Hogslane Market. I can go boarding house and St. Albans. Let's go to St. Albans. Take the census with Theophilus. I should change. I should put my badge back on. Good. Badge will eliminate any expectation of a social visit at any rate. I'm satisfied with this. St. Albans Proto-Martyr. This is the closest church to Horatius. He looks me over, and he does not see a parishioner. I see the masters are meddling with affairs of the church. I suppose it was inevitable that they would turn their attention this way in time. First playthrough is about 6 hours? Yeah, tons of replayability. Try to draw a personal connection given that my family were tailors. Take no nonsense, present myself as a helpful and obedient. I'm a good girl. Or person. It is an honor to make your acquaintance. My name is Moira. Theophilus Withernwick. It is a Yorkshire name. I'm not even going to try the Yorkshire accent. Even though there's a whole bit in elementary when you meet Sherlock's, like, dialogue mentor. I alone captured the Yorkshire accent. Nope. Explain apologetically about the census. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I've been sent to ask a few questions of the citizens of London, or those who survived at any rate. I am not sure what the masters have in mind. Nonetheless, it would be a help. I can tell that I chose the wrong moment. Theophilus looks out of sorts. A decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Laugh. I know what he's on about. I suppose we still have a month and more before Advent. Ask my questions in a respectful way. You make me nervous. I'm sorry for prying into your affairs. Do you live alone? I live alone in the rooms provided for the vicar of this parish. There is a woman who comes twice a week to clean, or there was. Her visits have been more erratic of late. Another, semi-missing person. She stole several spoons and a chafing dish from me. And my second best chasuble. Who knows what she thought to do with it. When I did not turn her off for dishonesty, she lost all respect for me. In retrospect, it was an error. I thought to show mercy. Now I sleep on damp sheets. Ask my question in a respectful way. I'm sorry for asking something personal, but it's not idle curiosity. Are you married? I was married. The lady was 2 or 3 years older than myself, a very sensible and capable woman. Her name was Anne. Ask what became of his wife. Anne Withernwick is no longer with you? It is a sad but not unusual tale. And I thought you were getting to trust me. We are commanded to be wise as serpents. I'll keep my own counsel, thank you. Woo! Hi! Something has landed on the roof. Hi! It sees us. Bye! Bat. Make light of this obvious danger. Point out that it is far, far too large to be a bat, or admit to being afraid of the thing. Make light of this obvious danger. It's much larger than the bats we had before. Possibly they're better fed down here. If you'll permit me saying so, I don't find that a comforting observation. There are, I believe, some species of bat that eat fruit. But if that's what these lived on, they would be as hungry as the rest of us. The first few days weren't bad. People had food in their pantries still, old loaves of bread, leftover joints, roots and jams. But nothing new was coming into the market. No new fish, no vegetables from the farms. It's landed there a few times before, especially when the choir is practicing. Suggested is drawn to music. Maybe it likes music. Just as well, the opera has been suspended in that case. It might have carried off half of society by now. The thing up there is gone. The Tenterground synagogue's in better condition than our little church. I've wondered whether that signifies the direction of divine approval. Tenterground synagogue. An old synagogue and one that has weathered the fall very well. Ask what happened to the church roof. I don't want to flirt with him. I'm not interested. He's... What happened to the roof? Ah, that. We must assume the fabric of the building sustained significant damage in the fall. The funny thing is, it held up for weeks, but shortly after Pentecost, it all came down. I choose not to construe this as an intervention of the Holy Spirit. Comment that at least there's no risk of rain! Congratulate him on his luck that no one was hurt. It's a good thing you weren't celebrating a service at the time. Or divinely providential. It was good of you to stop in. Lord, see you safely home again. Was it good of me? You were fairly, uninterested in me. Judging by the clock, I can afford another errand before supper. Person, Theophilus. Motive, feared predators. Motive, fought a flying creature. Interesting. Where do I want to go? What are my options here? See whether Horatia needs anything. Pay Horatia the first half of what I owe her. Continue my seduction of Archie. See whether Archie needs anything. Discuss the ministry's misbehavior with Archie. Okay, so that's one option. We can look for potential census fillers at the Tenterground Synagogue. Look for census filling shoppers, or look into the shopkeeper's goods for sale. Or we can turn in our forms, but we only have one, so I don't want to do that. I want to pay Horatia half of what I owe her, because I don't like owing money. Horatia won't mind me in this. She won't care, so no need to change. I find Horatia in the basement taking inventory of our supplies. I am indebted to Horatia. Since the fall, I haven't always had the funds to pay for my room and board. She provided for me anyway. If there's anything to eat, I'm always welcome to join the other lodgers. She's never said a word in front of the other guests. Yeah, then I really want to pay her. Give Horatia half of my back rent. I believe I owe you something, as a matter of fact. I pass her the coins in a jingling handful. There is a moment's fellow feeling. Horatia and I are thinking alike. She scoops the money into the pocket of her skirt. Oh, we're not going to talk about it, apparently. Let's cover how much more I owe her. I know that I can't cover all my previous debts. It would be as much again. The rest will have to wait. I will have to do a few more odd jobs first. I'm glad to have this. Okay. There is a woman who comes to the door just about every morning. Too many children and not enough food. Sometimes I have a penny or some old stew for her. Listen. And this morning, I sat by the fire and didn't go to answer it. After a time, she stopped knocking and just stood sobbing on the doorstep. Oh, sounds like a gloomy story. It's a common one. Ask Horatia about her work. Simply ask whether she does anything else besides run the household. You don't have any secret business besides running the household, do you? The house has been my business for a long time now. My father left it to me. He bought it so I'd have a good place to live. He didn't want to leave it up to whether I'd find a husband. Good for your dad. I'd best be off. The drawing won't take itself in. I have only platonic intentions towards Horatia. My face betrays my feelings. Horatia sets the dinner soon afterwards. I don't need to change. Archie's already at the table when I arrive. When he sees me come in, he gives me a guilty start and scoops some of his stew back into the tureen. Aw. Took more'n a right to do. Took more'n I had a right to. But I'm not eating any of it. Apologies. Sure can take it back. Answer flirtatiously. Always flirt. Always flirt. I'll find a way for you to make it up to me, shall I? Oh, you'll be having me steal your porridge at breakfast, too. There was a lass who asked me to come round and look at her brother, a Jewish family. They usually go to their own doctor, but he's out of service, or ran away, or something of that ilk. Their old synagogue was destroyed in the fall, so they moved to the Tenterground Synagogue. Rachel and David Landau. David has a stomach complaint, chronic. Perhaps they have trouble cooking anything palatable. It isn't easy these days with what we have. The sister's a beauty. Excuse you. She wouldn't leave the room while I saw to her brother. Ask about David's health. Will the brother live? Oh, for a bit I thought it might be serious. But what he needs is his stomach settled. Telling big stories about meeting Chris's employer. Chris took me to the ministry. Her employer wears a cloak like a highwayman and keeps offices like a solicitor. Oh, yes? Is the ministry very grand? I wouldn't say grand so much as extremely unnerving. They must be well-to-do if they've food enough to feed all of London. I'm not sure Grizz is wise to work there. I've nae liked the sound of them. It does sound unusual. I admit some of Grizz's stories give me a turn, but you mustn't be too quick to judge. These people at the ministry might have different ways from ours. Horatio and I should be friends. I grin. Okay, so I need to save up 5 more pennies and give them to Horatia. I need to tell stories to Archie and deliver forms to Mr. Pages. Okay. Person David, person Rachel, action treated David Landau. Let's go to the synagogue. Even more of a reason. 4 days remain in the season of confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. The headline today read, Beware ailments caused by lack of sunlight. Cholera, scurvy, female distemper. Really? Really? Okay. We're going there, apparently. I'm going to change into my corsage. Build my friendship with Horatia. See whether Grizz needs anything. Take the census with Grizz. Continue my seduction of Archie. See whether Archie needs anything. We're going to go to the synagogue. Take the census with the Landaus. I consider what a Landau would make of my current garb. I'm satisfied with this. We've never met before, but I recognize these people anyway from Archie's description. They have to be the Landaus, a brother and sister pair. He's been treating David's stomach pains. Ooh, you're cute. Wait here, Rachel, or you can stand a bit to the side if you want, wherever you're comfortable. I'll speak to this person. It won't take long. Shouldn't, anyway. Good morning. Introduce myself as a friend of Archie's. Angled to impress David with lies. I'm Moira. I have the advantage, I'm afraid. I know of you through a friend of mine, the young Dr. Archibald Reed. He and I reside in the same lodging house. David is silent. Did Dr. Reed send you to us with some sort of message? I suppose I shouldn't call him doctor, as he didn't qualify. You can call him a doctor. He is the profession of doctor, not the educational degree of doctor. He knows we're here, but I don't know what the message would be. We paid his fees. No, I'm here on my own business, but he told me you might be here. What can we do for you? Explain apologetically about the census. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I've been sent to ask a few questions of the citizens of London, or those who survived at any rate. I am not sure what the masters have in mind. Nonetheless, it would be a help. Every time I apologetically explained, that's the same answer I've gotten every time. It's like, we aren't who they have in mind. Rachel looks out of sorts. I'll answer your questions, Moira, if you answer mine. Call it character research. Are you having peculiar dreams down here? Mention that Archie has patience with just this complaint. Admit that I am having peculiar dreams. Talk up the lurid misery of my nightmares. Yes, from time to time. Of a land of thick green jungle and an orange sun high above, of colors you don't see in waking life? Yes, sometimes. People miss sunlight and foliage, so they dream of that. It's like being hungry and dreaming of cakes. Do you see a bird with 7 heads? No. Go ahead with your questions, Moira. She looks so grumpy. Ask what she means about character research. What did you mean when you said you had a question about character research? I write novels. They are published, 1 chapter at a time, in the Lily of London magazine. I was in the midst of one that when the fall happened. My publisher insisted that I continue the story despite all. Rachel, are you certain you want to share so much? Does it matter? Surely these precautions are behind us. What's your story about? What are you writing about? If you take the Lily of London, Moira, you may have the pleasure of reading my next chapter yourself. Though I confess I'm at a standstill as to what it will contain. My heroine was meant to set off for Paris, and there to be reunited with her lost beloved. But as the fall has transpired in fiction as well as in fact, I must resign myself to that the courtship is ruined. Make a great show of sympathy. Oh no, oh dear, that's much too bad. Very much too bad. Oh good, she's in a better mood with me. Take the census information about David. Try to establish some trust. I live in a lodging house with a few fellow lodgers, and I am always curious how others have managed. Indeed. Who else lives in your household? David looks just the slightest bit less guarded. Our home contains myself, my brother, and our housekeeper. It isn't a grand establishment. We had another housekeeper for many years, but she passed away, and Phoebe, our servant, had lost her place with a neighbor of ours. Simply ask whether David is in love. Probably a little too forward, but are you married? In love? Oh, not recently. I was in love once, or so I imagined. Charlotte Carringham. She and David had an understanding. She converted in any case. Becoming Christian suited her social aspirations. Rachel. Yes, I take leave to dislike your unworthy suitors as heartily as you disliked mine. Milton is a yellow-eyed, flash-dressed, hot-handed creature at least 2 decades too old for my sister. Rumors of devils are frequent in the city. Perhaps Milton is one of them. I hardly think he and Charlotte are comparable. And for more information about Rachel's unsuitable friend. Oh dear, the rules of polite society haven't broken somewhat in the fall, haven't they? Hey Sal, how are ya? Nothing of the sort. He's a devil, or rather he belongs to the group using that name. Milton is an artistic inspiration. If you are not a writer yourself, Moira, you cannot guess how much the fall has disrupted our sort of work. Characters have certain tastes, certain preferences, certain prejudices. All I need to do is imagine them in new circumstances, and their reactions write themselves. But now, we've all been at least a little bit cracked by the fall. How does anyone behave? Who can say? You always said you wrote from observation. You can still observe. Since the fall, there's no pattern in what I see. It is only home that makes sense to me, and I cannot make my whole novel about a brother and sister lighting candles at Shabbat. Ask why not, out of curiosity. Why not? My publisher wouldn't tolerate it. The Lily of London wouldn't print it. The rest of the world must come into it somehow. Milton helps me sort the rest of the world. He can make sense of anything, even a viscountess running down the street in her peignoir. It's easy to understand a misbehaving viscountess. Everything else is strange. Let me say it, friend. Milton smokes rose-scented cigars. He helps me. I'm inclined to side with Rachel here, but I don't want to piss David off. I'm pretty good. The weather is nice today, which is great. It's been raining the last couple days, which I preferred, but I hope it continues to be nice weather into this week. I need it to be nice weather for Wednesday. That doesn't sound so bad. See? Milton quotes poetry instead of making conversation. It is one of the things I like about him. I turn my senseless curiosity on Rachel. Simply ask whether Rachel is in love. Are you married? In love? No, I wouldn't say that. Milton is only a friend. Just as well, too. In the times before, you would never have darkened the door of such a person. Ask David about his work. What line of work are you in? We have money in the funds and interest in several businesses in London and elsewhere. The time was when I used to be very busy in answering letters from Livorno, from Amsterdam. These days my time is not so extensively occupied. We're expected elsewhere. I'm not feeling well enough for this. You've set loose one or two ideas, for which I certainly owe you something. She produces a card and hands it to me. Provides her address and guidance to reach it. Cool. The Landau's townhouse, a well-appointed townhouse, suffused with a homely glow from its tall windows, home of the Landau siblings. Neat. Goodbye, Moira. Decide to kiss Rachel forward. I don't want to just be platonic, but kissing her seems really forward. So we're going to go with my opinion remains to be seen. I shake my head to clear it. The ruminations are gone. All is as it was. I just have time for another errand. Listen, I like Moira. She's hot. Not Moira. I'm Moira. I like Rachel. She's hot, but I'm not going to kiss her. We literally just met. That is forward game. Guess we could go hand that story in. What did I say the story was? Oh. We could go to Landau's townhouse, which I don't think I should because I just... Oh. She's not here. Grizz is there. Take the census with Phoebe. Yeah, let's go meet Phoebe. Phoebe may find this look familiar and comforting. Good! Oh, look at you! Are you here to see me, then? I don't receive visitors as a rule. But perhaps they won't take official notice. It's not as if I entertain much. Explain that I'm working for the ministry on the census. I don't have my badge with me, but I'm collecting census information for the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. Phoebe looks faintly mutinous. Ask about her romantic connections. Are you married or otherwise connected? There's someone I care for. I had a hope something would come of it after the fall, but it seems that's not to be by the look of things now. Wipe tears from my own eyes. The gesture is discreet, but does not go unnoticed. For a moment, no one speaks. I make my excuse. Oh, okay. I guess we're done then. My opinion remains to be seen. I guess we're done then. Oh, hi, Chris. I suppose you've heard the news. What's happened? Suggesting I wait till I serve myself stew. Give me food first. Now, what's happened? Which news is that? The masters have received word from the surface. The rest of the world is all still there. The remains of England, France, all the rest as it was. Only London was abstracted. There are crates and crates of mail from the world above. They're going out to London now as we speak. Ask whether she's certain. Really? Are you sure? I've seen the sacks being loaded into carriages. I even have a little souvenir for us, but that can wait. For us? Archie, did you hear? I did at that. So it's true. I mean to get a seat on the next mail coach that goes above. I'm not sure that the mail came by coach, and it certainly did not come by train. Well, however it came, I mean to go back that road. Ask how soon we can expect to be rescued. At last! When do you think the rescue operations will begin? Will it be possible to winch the city back up to the surface? Or will they bring us out one by one with our possessions? I did ask Mr. Pages whether we expect to return, but he hasn't answered me yet. I very much had the impression that the masters don't expect London to leave the Neath. It's a mite heavy to lift out, but I will not mind if it left down here to moulder, so long as the rest of us get back to daylight. Look, Mr. Page has sent us all a gift. She takes out a package wrapped in brown paper and string and sets it down on the table. Inside are half a dozen fresh pork and apple sausages. Oh, better than Christmas, love. Thank you, Mr. Page. Thank you, Mr. Pages, for us. I'll make them up for Sunday lunch. Yes, thank you, and Mr. Pages. I don't suppose Mr. Pages does a line in red pudding. It is Mr. Hart's who has been arranging the import of surface meats. But I don't think Mr. Hart's would consider a red pudding a very suitable gift. How many masters are there, then? I have only seen the census pages for a few of them. Keep quiet and eat. I chew diligently. When they got hungry, people turned inventive. All the pigeons around St. Paul's they caught and plucked. More than one society lapdog was turned to stew. There are no more mushrooms on my plate. Okay. So it's all the same actions. I haven't, added new ones yet. But I have 4 census pages, so I could go back to Mr. Pages. For once, I know just what I'll see in the paper. Contact achieved with the surface of the earth. Travel possible via Z route. Mail collected from above. It goes on and on like this. I spent a good part of the morning devouring the pages. There are hardly any pictures. It's too early for illustrations. Nonetheless, the paper's correspondents paint a vivid picture of the perilous travel back to the environs of Italy. We know where that is from the Sunless Seas game. Look for census-filling shopkeepers. We're going to put our badge back and maybe our hat for funsies. Let's go! Oh! Hello there. Call me Ivy. Explain that I'm working for the Ministry on the Census. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I see. Simply ask her. Try to establish some trust. Yeah, always good. I favor Ivy with a brief sketch of my own upbringing, a family tree. Ivy Fitzclarret. It's what passed for a joke with my mum. Claret, not the Claret. Ankle for an explanation. Fitzclarret? Like the family of royal bastards, the Fitzclarences. Except less to do with a ducal ancestor and more to do with strong drink. My mum reckoned when I got old enough I could pick a lie that'd suit me. So long as you live with me, you'll be known for a tart's daughter, no point hiding it. Oh, that's sad. I'm gonna flirt. Not sure what to say to that, eh? I don't do conversation from etiquette books. What if I just try to kiss her? I give Ivy a provocative look. Explore the question of her future. Are you going to change your name someday? Oh, yes. But not until I have enough saved to move my shop to Ladybones. Mademoiselle Lierre de Bordeaux, I'm planning to call myself. All the fashions of Paris, but darker and more marvellous. Her voice shifts upmarket suddenly, her pronunciation almost as proper as Grizz's. I can sound elegant, but I didn't learn my manners at a finishing school. I worked in the back room of the dressmaker's shop until I was good enough to put in front. Found my way into genteel parlours and didn't let myself be kicked out of them again. Not 1 in 20 of the ladies I dressed could do what I've done. I'm a flirt. Is there anyone living with you at the moment? I live back at my mom's place when I'm not working in. She's good company unless she's got guests of her own, in which case I stay out late. Heat things up further. Is there anyone special in your life, Ivy? There's been a few warm encounters. I'm not the Blessed Virgin, am I? But I don't want child nor man sponging off me. One thing about being raised by an old sloop of war. She taught me how to keep unencumbered. No one speaks for a moment. Ask Ivy about her work. Is this your chief employment? Here's the thing about working in the houses of fine ladies. They leave their letters lying about and tell themselves you can't read. They gossip about their affairs and fancy that you're deaf. Well, I have a rule, and it shows a generous and charitable spirit at that. First time you forget I've got eyes and a brain, no harm. I shut my minces and keep my Hounslows clamped. But do it again, your secrets are mine, and my secrets are my living. Note that I also embrace opportunities when I find them. Good thinking. The owner of a secret doesn't know what it's been stolen. As you can see. Better to be able to take an opportunity when it's offered than to make a plan. Plans break. Ah, well, top of Rome for me. Bye! I can just manage another errand today. Ivy thought poorly of gentlemen. Interesting. All right, we're going to head here. Give the pages. Hello, people. Can I ask you more secrets and questions? The badge will eliminate any expectation of a social visit at any rate. I'm satisfied with this. I'm there on business after all. Gris has already shown me once how to visit the ministry. Nonetheless, this time I want to make sure I visit while she is also there. So I invite myself to accompany her while she walks to work. We require more stories for the bazaar. Our current catalog is too small. Too small? Far too small. We have all the romantic accounts from the census. Too short, too self-similar. A person was married, then widowed. A person fell in love, was rejected, and married another. Where is the screaming in such an account? Turn the moment to humor. They are English, Mr. Pages. When they wish to scream, they say that while they were quite put out. Besides, if you want more colorful stories, there are the novels. London's novels have been disappointing. Promise to make appropriate arrangements with Rachel. Imply Mr. Pages had led poorly. Blame Gris for lack of progress. No! I will make arrangements with Rachel. I can assist with this. Let me make the necessary introductions. I know where to find the Landaus. A visit to Rachel Landau will produce more of what Gris is looking for. Help Gris ask Rachel Landau for writing work. What else is there? Hand over everything at once. It turns over a page. Mr. Pages pays. Then it puts the census page in a stack of others much like it. It weighs the stack down with a paperweight. If I look too hard at the paperweight, my eyes sting. It turns over a page. I've got used to the transaction now. It turns over a page. This form merits 2 pennies. It turns over a page. I can take my penny without flinching under its stare. There are 7 forms thus far. This should be commemorated. Gris has justified that the agents of the ministry should appear respectable. Moreover, that black is a respectable color of clothing. I have obtained an article. It was not made with Mr. Vale's wares. I hope this will not give offense. Mr. Vale's should not be given the measure of you. Ooh! Suitable for funeral processions and the attendances of graves. Wearing it makes me more conscious of grim truths, but also better able to lend comfort. Look at that! It arrives at Rachel's senses. Mr. Page is as pleased enough with my information to give me 2 pennies. It looks through the sheets of the form in its usual way. It doesn't find much to interest it in the account of Rachel's romantic life. It is much more intrigued by her employment. Ah, the authoress. We must hope she is proliferant. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. Let's go to the food supplies. Ask why maps need to be outlawed. Yeah, why do the maps need to be outlawed? Why aren't we allowed to have maps and atlases anymore? We need them more than ever. London isn't arranged where it used to be. I believe the ministry intends to resurvey the territory. In the meantime, it wouldn't do to, have people using fallacious maps. The territory of the Neath is antidisposificated towards lying still. Very true. The map changes every time you try to venture out. Not sagely. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. I render my thanks and good wishes to all parties and bow myself out. Story crafting ideas discovered. Motive new, Neath changed. Hallways outside are hushed, except that if I listen closely, there is a sound like something walking with an uneven gait. Its shoes, or perhaps its toenails, click on the polished floor. Horatio will be setting out the food now. But I want to linger. Fine. Fine. Don't get to linger then. I don't know where the others have got to. They do know when supper is served. Good evening. I'm looking for Archibald. Is he here? Archie? He's upstairs. Listen. Yes? I know all the old maps have been outlawed, but if you've come for his atlas, do you think you could leave it with him? It gives him a lot of comfort remembering all those little villages in Scotland where his family used to live. Put in a good word for Archie's map collection. Yes, leave Archie his maps. He's not doing any harm with them. That isn't why I'm here. Let them keep chatting over the matter. Oh, is it to do with his doctoring? I hope no one's too ill. I know Archie worries trying to do a physician's work when he didn't finish his training. Does he often treat people? All sorts. We have people showing up here at every time of day and night. Not that there's much distinction now between the two. And I will say, for all he talks about not being trained, he's at his happiest when he's singing to someone. So calm and gentle, especially with the children. Very admirable. Have you ever known Archie to make mistakes, prescribe the wrong dosages? Mention that Archie has expertise in drugs and poisons. During his training, Archie made an extensive study of drugs and poisons. He's as good as a druggist. The basement is full of his concoctions. May I see them? No, absolutely not. No one can enter the basement but me. Of course, Archie chooses this moment to come down the stairs. Hajit, I hope you're well. I'm sorry, Archibald. I'm here in the line of duty. It's about David Landau. Oh, no. Did something happen to him? I only saw him today. Shortly after your visit, he died by poison. Oh, no! Rip David! Died? The poor man? Wrecked with pain. What? No. Are you sure that's not some mistake? May he rest peacefully. Sorry to have to bring you this news. Is Rachel all right? Is there anyone with her to protect the house? She said you were the last person to speak with David, that the fatal dose must have come from you. I don't understand. There was an inquest and the jury found against you. No! I'm here to arrest you for murder. No! Wait a moment! No! I knew it was just time till someone went awry. There's too many folks ill, and can I cure them whole town? Where are you taking Archie? Where are you taking him? Newgate Prison was destroyed in the fall. For the time being, prisoners are held in HMS Ungulate. Sounds like a very insalubrious environment. Cold, damp, infested with vermin. Breathing the vapors of the Thames. It might not be good for the health of the prisoners. You're not talking your way out of that. No, I mean, if you don't mind, before we set out, I'd like to collect a few doses of this and that. Things that might help to settle bad lungs and prolong coughs. You're asking whether before we go, you can be allowed to rearrange your collection of drugs and bring some of those drugs with you. That isn't quite how I'd phrase it. When you stand accused of murdering a man through the use of potent toxins. Oh. For the sake of your future guards and cellmates, I think I must refuse. Is Rachel alright? How's Rachel doing? Does she have anyone with her? There's a housekeeper, Phoebe, and some friends of her community. They're preparing the body for burial. It can't be left unburied for very long. Ask where he's being buried. Where are they burying him? They mean to take him to a Jewish graveyard at Balls Pond. Rachel said there might be a dispute with some of their Spanish relatives that their mother was buried somewhere else, but she did not think it would change the outcome. No, Archie! Horatia, I'll be back as soon as I can. Don't let my room out to anyone else. We won't. Don't fret. We'll get to the bottom of it. No! Archie! Maybe Grizz's high-placed friends at the ministry will come in handy. It'd be a good thing if they did. There's still dinner on the table, but Horatia doesn't have much of an appetite. No! Forbidding former warship converted to a brooding prison hulk. I knew there was like a murder in this, but I didn't know it would happen this fast. Or to like the one person I've been steadily flirting with. No! Ah. Help Grizz ask Rachel to lend out for writing work. Great. Give my more pennies to Rachel, visit Archie, and find out how to reach his publisher directly. Continue taking the census. Ah! Circumstances tainted drug. Person Phoebe. I think Phoebe did it. I don't actually know. I have no idea. No! For a moment after waking, I forgot what happened last night. Then it comes back to me, the sight of Archie being taken away. Horatia staring at a plate of uneaten pie. The rest of the evening, strange as it was, and then stumbling back to my own bed. There's no mention of Archie's arrest in the morning's newspaper. I don't believe Archie did it. I can't leave Archie to rot no matter what he did. It's entirely possible that Archie did. I don't think he did it. I don't think he did it. What's the motive? Whatever the truth might be, I don't think that's it. Ooh. I am concerned even about the killer. The law will dispose of the murderer's earthly fate. But those who have done a terrible wrong need other help and other guidance to make matters right with themselves and their community. Find out how David's relations are reacting to his death. This may be distracting business. I doubt I'll be able to gather funds for Horatia. No, I have enough for her. I have no intention of bringing Archie any more exposés. The demand of Mr. Pages will have to wait. I will keep all my other responsibilities nonetheless. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. No. Oh, wait. Can I change this now? Knew the Neath had changed. Oh, he's collecting love stories. I don't know. We're going to go with that one. Now we get out outside. Oh gosh, there's I wonder why there's a coin there. Horatia needs anything. Find out what she's up to in the basement. I'm gonna pay the rest of what I owe her. Find Horatia in the basement, taking inventory of our supplies. Horatia sighs when I show my face. I think just my presence has reminded her of her lodgers, and that reminds her of Archie. She hasn't gotten into inhabiting that grief comfortably yet. Friend, it's good to see you. There's the rest of my back rent. Here, you're owed this. Horatia briefly squeezes my hand. Apologize for taking so long. I'm sorry I didn't have it sooner. A fault confessed is half redressed. Did it. Silence falls. I have a confession. I saw an enormous tentacle in the basement not so long ago. I didn't tell you and the others because I thought it might put you off the house. And it didn't seem a great danger. That is, it wasn't doing anything, other than stealing the odd supplies now and then. It seemed a lazy thing, really. Grew a bit fond. Now I hear there's been a man made of tentacles seen, bold as brass. Heard it from a few sources, beyond Mrs. Besum's witterings, lurking in the dark when the caves have opened on the south bank. Ask her what the problem is. It's not doing any harm, is it? Not yet, but give it time. I'm watching it like one of those birds with the beaks. It'll come to me. A hawk. But there's one of me, and I daren't leave it alone too long. A couple of the neighbors have mentioned a sinkhole when they've stopped by for tea. Caves below the streets by the south bank. Movement in the depths, coils slithering in the gaslights. So it's not just us, it seems. Except that there may be a connection between our tentacle and the sinkhole. Stranger things have happened, haven't they just? Mrs. Besum came in for a chinwag on her day off yesterday. Said jewels had been spied falling from the roof. Naturally, she got there too late to see any herself. But she had a good look around at the parlor before I saw her out. I don't know that there's a connection between our basement and these caves. But best be on your guard. Trouble comes from below down here. Learn about the origin of the tentacled creatures below. If anyone knows the way to this place, it'll be Harjeet. Let's be friends. See you as one of my closest friends. I have a lot of people in my life who are friendly. The butcher, the neighbors, my lodgers, half the parish of St. Albans. You want to matter in my life in a different way to that, you need to work alongside me. Maybe don't even think of it as rent. Maybe contribute the way you would to a family household. That's what I need and don't have. And I know not everyone's got that to offer. Sorry about the past, and I will do better. I haven't always done that, I know. I know some people need looking after, and I don't hold that against them. And for a while, you weren't ready to look after yourself after the fall. That's okay. We all had a bad time. Then I'd like to be friends. She offers me a handshake. Shake her hand. Not gonna go for a hug. That's presumptuous. I take her hand. It's a firm grip, promise to look after me, and a pledge to hold me to my own promises. She even unlocked Forger of Bonds. I'd best tidy the parlor. And emulate Horatia's generosity and her protection of her own. Horatia is like a member of my own family. I know her to change what we are now. I like the first one. She protects her own. She gives away whatever anyone needs from her. And she keeps a tight circle of people who matter to her most. Yes, this is what I want to be myself. Don't stare, it gives me the fidgets. Beneath London. Okay, we're going to take the hat back off again. And we're going to... Ooh. Yes, we should wear this when we go visit Rachel, because her brother just died. Visit Rachel after David's death. I consider what a Landau would make of my current garb. For my condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss. I know so many other people have lost someone this year. But mine was murdered. Mine was unnecessary. David's death wasn't an accident or misfortune or fate. At that moment, someone can be heard at the door. There were so many new graves when we buried him. Mr. Milton is here to see you, miss. Here? Now? Do you want me to say you aren't at home? No, you can't tell him that. He'll know I'm here But maybe you had better stay. Don't strain yourself finding an excuse. I promise to depart again before I have entirely worn out my welcome. Milton? No, please, you're very welcome. I believe we've not met. Ah, this is Moira. Do stay, Moira. Poor Rachel. I came because I'd heard your unhappy news. I ought to be wearing black, but there's been so little time. Purple is a mourning color. No one minds. No one would expect you to follow the conventions in these circumstances. Oh, many people would expect exactly that. The more difficult it is to conform, the more they care that you do, because it demonstrates obedience. I did have a black gown. My mother died last year, but we handed it down to a cousin on the Landau side. Her husband died in the fall, and she needed something suitable. She used to sit in the parlor after supper in the second-hand gown and a glossy wig, and drink a great deal of David's wine. Ah, the widow Nathan. I take it she had much to say about the trials of having no one to support her. She never did recognize that character as herself. Puncture their snootiness. Listen neutrally. Or perhaps the widow had enough pride to conceal her mortification. Has she been to call recently? No, though many of our relatives have become inattentive lately. And she's the only one of them you've given any cause. Oh, don't rebuke me today, Milton. Maybe it's deserved, maybe very much deserved, but I can't face it today. Wait until the mirrors are uncovered, and then you can study my reflection if you must. Phoebe said you've buried the body? At Ball's Pond. Very soon after his death? It's our tradition. How do you avoid burying someone alive? See where this goes. The burial, Rachel. David was dead, unambiguously, grotesquely dead. Have you been back to the grave? Is it undisturbed? Is this how you comfort mourners in your society? We don't mourn the dead. Your inexperience shows. It isn't necessary here. You've been here long enough is what you've been. Phoebe? Phoebe, I called you. Miss, did you want tea for the guest? I did not, and don't play the fool. I know you've had your ear to the door. See Mr. Milton out. I could have found my own way. At least one of us here is going to observe the civilities, and it seems I'm the only one up to it. Miss Landau, I'm very sorry, but please, go. He isn't all bad. I have a bias here. I'll forgive him later. I can't bear his company at the moment. I suppose David would be gratified to know he'd separated us. I'm suspicious of this whole situation. It's getting late, so I'm heading back home. I need to go see Archie! Action novelize the affair. Could use a scandal. Feels wrong not having Archie at his seat. We'll have him home again soon. It's not as simple as a matter as I hoped, but we'll get to it. Best we eat and not dwell on it. We need our strength if we're to do anything. The vicar's got a new spring in his step. His sermon today was calling for practical action. Said something about faith alone not being enough. I'm no learned doctor of the church, but I feel we had a reformation over this very issue. Ask advice what was given. And what was this advice? He sermonized on love thy neighbor. Now, before you say anything, I know it's not original, but he'd drawn up schedules, a task for every parishioner. Work! There was a fire in his belly I'd not seen before. His preaching was very red-faced. He's not ill, is he? Lament Archie's absence. If only Archie were here, he'd know what to prescribe. And if the earth hadn't opened up and swallowed us all. No use griping. Archie's there and we're here. We must make the best of it. I hope he isn't ill. I'm not going to St. Dunstan's for Sunday service. The vicar there has no notions. The vicar there has notions. There's a brief lull in the conversation. I tried walking down to Parliament once, that is, to the remains. but I couldn't get to it. Ask why she wants to get there. What are you looking for there? I want to see what became of it. When I ask Mr. Pages, it gives me very confused accounts. And it's not just that my uncle was there on the day of the fall. It seems to me that someone wanted it done away with. The rest of London didn't end up in the river. So I can't help thinking it was put there on purpose. I did try asking Harjeet. He said he wouldn't take me because it was difficult and would take a long time. I don't suppose you could find the way? Yeah. I have no other appointments. Guide Grizz to the ruins of the Parliament. Make sure to help clear the dishes after eating. When the meal is over, I give Horatia a hand clearing up. Good of you, my friend. I'm gonna keep my promise. Okay, so now we have a couple new tasks. Earn until I have at least 4 pennies. Pay Harjeet to show me the way. Go to Parliament with Grizz. Okay. Ask Harjeet for guidance to the den of rubbery creatures. Ooh. Find out David's relations are acting to visit those who might have information or opinions and observe and get to know them. Set up for Landau's with Grizz in tow. Visit Archie and find out how to reach his publisher directly. Okay. So much stuff to do! Our task list grows by the day. 265 days since the fall. 1 day remains in the season of confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. The headline today reads, Marchioness accused of liaisons with squid-faced men. Rumors of octopod heir to the Marquisette. That would be fast. Let's try the Landaus again. Actually, I don't know if I can take Grizz with me there. Talk to Grizz about Archie's arrest. I should change. There we go. Doesn't take Horatia long to explain what's happened. This is a mistake, a serious error. I would have thought Harjeet would investigate more carefully than that. I thought he liked Archie. I'm sure he does even. But if he thinks that Archie's been poisoning his patients... But that's absurd. You only have to look at Archie. I've met more threatening rabbits. Yeah, exactly so. I was hoping your friends at the ministry could help with this. Oh, I don't know what they do there, but it sounds very influential. They don't control the constables, or at least my department doesn't. But they would know where to put in a good word. They might not see it in the way we do, but I can try. That's all we can ask. That leaves time for another errand today. Okay. We could go to... I don't get why that's just that. I don't know if I can take... Well, she's not showing up anywhere else. I'm gonna try this one again. See if it will let me do it with Grizz this time. We're gonna change back into our... Oh, I should also maybe put the lapel pin on. Because I am trying to get the story. Good afternoon, Moira. I find I keep thinking about the same things. Do you know what an inquest is like? No. I didn't know, and now I can't let it go. It had to be held right away immediately when David died. It had to be done and finished so we could bury him. So it was the coroner and a random 12 men he found willing, presiding in the upper room at the Rising Sun. We carried up David's body and put it on a table after we'd cleaned it as well as we could. He'd been sick a few times while he was dying. But we did what we could, and the gin fumes covered the smell, I imagine. At least for the members of the inquest jury. Sympathize. I'm sorry, these are terrible times. Rachel makes a few flattering remarks on my better points. Then it was just me and Phoebe, the only witnesses, being interrogated by the lot of these men, who were not sober, not sensible, and not of our beliefs. Phoebe stood by me and held my hand, and for that I will be grateful to her until the day I die. They wanted to perform an autopsy on David. It wouldn't have been more than a butchery. To look for poisons inside him. I say nothing. I said no. They could plainly see he'd been poisoned, and that didn't need checking on. And that we didn't want an autopsy unless it was to check for infectious disease. They didn't like that, but I yelled and they let me have my way. Though they bickered and leered and pried open David's eyelids. The end of it was that they wrote out a warrant for Archie's arrest, and I've never been more grateful for a thing to be over. So just the value of it for a writer seems to me it's over now, and you saw something most writers would not. It's not a story for the Lily of London. I couldn't watch that scene from a distance. I just had to stand there in the middle of it and wait for it to end. Silence falls. Milton visited last night to apologize. He said he could see that he'd been out of line. He had reasons why he behaved as he did. I won't go into that. I've forgiven him, but he is difficult. It's an absurd thing for me to ask you, I know, but would you treat this as a confidence and give me your candid advice? Listen without comment. I'm listening. If I hint at feelings for Milton, he says, "Oh, I know," in an affable way, or "What an inconvenience." As though I'd caught a sneeze, and he was sympathetic, but didn't see what it had to do with him. Then he turns the subject to something innocuous. Ask her about what she wants. What were you hoping for? Well, that touches a point, doesn't it? What exactly would one want from a person like Milton? Marriage, plainly, is ineligible. Even if it weren't for my brother, Milton would not keep a kosher house. Nor do I see him as papa to a gaggle of amber-eyed tots. If it helps to talk about it, please do go on. Thank you. Kindness is like milk and honey down here. I've thought of being his mistress. Among artists, these arrangements are tolerated more than elsewhere. Lately, I've thought about it a great deal. What would I lose by going with Milton? And if in a few years he cast me off, how would my life be any worse? Will we even survive so long down here? Suggest that Milton has discouraged her. By the sounds of it, Milton has given you his answer. He continues to visit me. As a friend, not as a suitor. A gentleman wouldn't encourage a lady to hope for an offer that wasn't forthcoming. Though on reflection, I doubt he'd apply those rules to himself. Perhaps he'd even say it was a compliment to me that he didn't expect me to be taken in by them. Curse it. Offer some comfort. I know it's hard, but it will be all right. Thank you. Kindness is like milk and honey down here. Turn the subject to her artistic friends. Rachel falls into telling me more stories of Milton's salon. It is attended mostly by writers and poets, especially daring poets will sometimes attempt a reading, but Milton's side commentary has proven a deterrent to the softer-bellied. He has no patience with work that's made to pattern. If it's a story about the uncomplaining suffering of wives, servants, children, or dogs, there is also a strict rule against paeans to the faithfulness of Penelope or Ruth or the Virgin Mary. If anyone dares say anything like that, he quips it out of existence. She goes on like this for some time, introducing me in turn to all the characters of that world, whether highborn or not. There's a chapter waiting for me to finish it. Look after yourself, citizen. For real jealousy about Bunton. I frown. It is nearly time for supper. Okay, so I still didn't get to ask her about the thing I was trying for. When do I get to ask her? Horatia murmurs over her plate. A blessing, I think, for the food and for Archie, too. It started snowing outside. It isn't ordinary snow. Something has gone very badly at the ministry. Mr. Pages took away a great supply of our papers, together with many of the books and novels it had assembled. All of them taken into the bazaar in wheelbarrows, so many that it attracted quite a crowd. I thought those were for his personal collection. No, he was always planning to take them to the bazaar, but it didn't go well, and that seemed to concern him even more. He said London might not last long in the snow. Reassure her. Don't worry, Mr. Pages is easily agitated. I don't think that means we are safe. Grizz shakes her head. Mr. Pages has a very lively fear of what may happen next, and I cannot put this out of my head. For a moment, no one speaks. Make sure to help clear the dishes after eating. When the meal is over, I give Horatia a hand clearing up. Good of you, friend. Gonna go to sleep. $2.66. It is the end of confessions. This morning I waked to furious pounding on the front door. Rachel is already talking to Grizz and Horatia by the time I get downstairs. I'm Rachel Landau. I believe you know Archibald Reed, the doctor. Well enough to know he didn't kill anyone. I'm not certain of that, and my brother was certainly dead. But you were quick to make accusations. I've come to ask your help, and maybe to free your friend as well. So I'd best not let myself be drawn. You have a way of freeing Archie? I think David might not be... That is, I think he may not be dead anymore. I keep having dreams that David is awake in his coffin. I can barely close my eyes without thinking of it. If I don't dig him up and make sure, I'll never have any peace. So you've come to us to help dig up your brother's coffin? Yes. I have a shovel in the basement, mostly for coal, but it will do. That's why she didn't bring her servant. Where's Phoebe? At home, in bed. She's not up to much lately. She sobs and asks what will become of us and counts her rosary beads. Oh, yeah, so she was in love with him. And she thought that she would have a chance when London fell, but he still wouldn't really look at her. Anyone would think it was her brother that died. You are Archie's friends, and you want his name cleared. So you have reason to try and find David alive, even if I mean nothing to you. She glances at me as though to say she knows there is more between us than that, even if she doesn't choose to say so in front of anyone else. Take the opportunity to look for evidence. Archie didn't do it. The condition of the corpse might reveal something about the drug used. If I can get a good look at that, I'll have an easier time with the rest of the inquiry. I'll help you. Thanks, citizen. I forgot that I picked citizen. Here. There's only a fresh mound of earth. You're sure this is the one? It's not marked. I left these stones. Dig. Rachel takes her own turn with the shovel, but it needs a hand from each of us. It's grim, slow work. When we've struck bottom at last, Grizz climbs into the grave. Well? It's been a few days, aye? Grizz calls up from below. David is still deceased. You're sure? Check the corpse's condition myself. Mind if I come down? I like that pan down. That's awesome. This corpse is definitely a corpse. I'm not sure what I expected to feel in its presence. Not this. Look closer. The lips are green-tinged, the muscles of the face contorted, the fingers twisted. There is no sense of an intelligence departed or a spirit gone. It does not give off the offensive sense that someone who should be here is not. It does not feel like one's arrived too late. It does not feel like one's... Yeah. Keep looking. The more I look, the more I'm sure this thing has never been alive at all. I do not smell decay, but there is a pale cloying scent like lilies growing in muck. Brush back its false hair from its false forehead. Just where the hairline meets the brow is a line of 4 tiny sigils. I can barely make them out, even with a light. From above, Rachel calls to me in concern. I touch a sigil with the tip of my finger and flinch back. The touch of it stings. I've smeared it a little, I think. Does the corpse face look different now than it did? Citizen! If you were hoping to find David alive down there, he isn't. I'm not sure the corpse is David's. I'm not sure it's David in there. You think the body has been snatched and replaced? A grave robber might take a body, but surely they'd not leave someone else's behind. It's a sense I had. The dead don't seem like themselves. I saw my father's corpse laid out before burial, but he's not awake. No, I'm not altogether sure if I'd want him to be. Milton said once that the laws of life and death down here are not as they were above. And so I thought, I don't know. Whatever he implied, your brother isn't returning. It's most likely a mistake. I believe Mr. Mirrors is to blame for sending dreams. No, there's something weird down there, guys. Trust me. We might not have found a live David in the grave, but I'm still not at all sure we found his corpse. If it isn't him, then we probably don't want to meddle with whatever it is. One thing I've learned at the ministry, there are things down here that resemble people but are not people. Not even counting the devils. We can go. I'm sorry. It was foolish of me to think there could be anything in it. Grizz and Moira should see you back home safe. You don't need to do that, but I'd be grateful for the company. You've had a shock. Something weird is afoot. Phoebe, we have guests. We aren't guests. Don't worry about refreshments. I had you digging up graves. The least I can do is offer a pot of tea. Phoebe! Probably asleep, the baggage. Ooh! He's back! Hello, I let myself in. You were dead. I was. And now you aren't. Not for the past couple of hours. It took a little time to return, and then you weren't here. Curiosity. How is this possible? I was truly dead, and I have returned. The paths of life and death are not as they are on the surface. That is the only explanation I can find. The question of the grave remains alarming. There was a corpse there, and you don't much resemble it. I didn't wake in my grave. I came to myself standing in the midst of London. At one moment I was crossing the last river, and then the boatman put me back ashore. Let's go about the last river. The last river. There was a boat full of the dead, and the boatman carrying us all to the far shore. I found myself there after the agonies of poisoning had ceased. I don't believe I've had the pleasure of your acquaintance, Miss Smith. I am a clerk at the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I was helping Miss Landau. We were trying to dig up your corpse. I dreamed you were alive, that you were trapped in there. I knew it might only be grief, but I dreamed it again and again so vividly. We should make a list of what to do. I will alert the ministry that death appears not to be going as usual, and someone needs to inform Harjeet that Mr. Landau is not dead, and therefore Archie is not a murderer. Someone did murder me. I was poisoned. It was excruciating. He really was completely dead. But he isn't dead now, so therefore that is not a murder. Whoever did it might try again. And I can't be sure it wouldn't work. Believe me, I still very much want to know who the culprit was. I'd rather hoped you might not know who did it. Listen with ghoulish curiosity. Go on. I am agog to hear what happened. Hardly ate anything that day, only the medicine that Archie brought me. I wasn't feeling well from the beginning, so I stayed in my room to read. There was quite a parade of visitors in the parlor I collect. A parade? I had Ivy Fitzclary in here working on a fitting. She is hardly a visitor, and we were not in the parlor for the most part, though she may have passed through. How did Archie behave? When Archie was with you, he didn't do anything strange? Nothing to make you think he had a sinister intention? No, his bedside manner was much the usual. He had moments of melancholy. He often spoke of being homesick, but otherwise he only showed a concern to see that I was better. Although the flavor of the medicine that day was a trifle different, more like ordinary medicines I'd had before. He said it was a change in the ingredients available, and that he'd had to compound his own down here. That's a little troubling now that I've thought of it. More than a little. More than a little. I'm sure it's only a coincidence, and the meaning was just what Archie said it was. Who was here that day? So Miss Fitzclary was here on the last day. And Archie visited. We know that, as you blamed him for the poisoning. Rachel and Phoebe were at home, and I believe I heard Milton's sticky tones through 3 sets of doors. Milton did pay a morning call. It was not long, and I was preoccupied with Ivy. I held a brief conversation with him and then excused myself. He spoke with Phoebe for a few minutes and then departed again, I believe. What did you consume? And you ate nothing, David? No, only Archie's medicine. No drinks. No tea with a bitter flavor and a gritty texture at the bottom of the cup? I would certainly have noticed. I thought as much. One always has the sense of poisoning victims being especially unobservant. We should go home and leave you to your conversation. I imagine there's a great deal to say at such a reunion. You will let Constable Singh know that the murder is no longer a murder. I wouldn't want the matter to be dropped. It would be the most grotesque miscarriage of justice to hang a man for murder when he did no such thing and his victim is still walking around London. I will tell Constable Singh, gracious. When you came to us for help, you said it would help us free Archie. It's true, I did. Then pray honor that commitment. That was a rash promise. It seemed reasonable, and I needed help. Can you see any of our cousins agreeing to come down and take a turn with the shovel? No, and especially not the Landau cousins. Such a betrayal of tradition. But thank you, and give my thanks to Miss Smith as well. You were truly a great assistance in a terrible time. If it was Archie who gave the fatal dose, then something will have to be done. But of course we'll say it wasn't murder. You may say it wasn't. Goal completed. Find out how his relations are reacting to his death. I don't know what is happening right now. This game just kind of leaves you in a perpetual state of confusion, and that's fine. We have finished the season of confessions. Rachel Landau has sent me a note of thanks. Wait a few days before paying a visit. There is no rule for how soon to visit the deceased after they return to life. He'll need to recover. Never mind, at least Archie will be home soon. Archie! Archie does not return. His place remains empty. Horatia cooks him a portion, but he never comes to eat it. After 4 days, Grizz tries to argue her out of doing it anymore, but she insists she can afford it, thanks to me. What isn't eaten goes to hungry neighbors in the morning. And she, Horatia, doesn't welcome interference in how she runs the house. Since Judgment Day, every season is freshly alien. The season of confessions goes out, taking with it many helpful self-deceits. Yule brings the first full horror of the Neath. People stop pretending when an animal speaks that it was imagination. Dogs, it's true, still say very little. This is what passes for tact among dogs. Cats have no such compunctions. On the rooftops, they trade in human secrets, and their side glances dare us to object, hypocritical gossips that we are. Cats have no problem talking shit right in front of people. 291. We're jumping forward. 7 days remain in the season of Yule. It is as I explained to Horatia and to Lady Griselda. By the terms of the law, a murder was still committed. Archie's condition. Is he well? Prison is not kind. So far as I can tell, Archie is happier on the ungulate than he was before. He is a hero to the other prisoners. Yeah, go get dinner. The trial will still be held just before Christmas. There is nothing I can do. There's nothing the Landaus can do either. Miss Landau did send a letter to the court to explain her brother's change of circumstance. Ask what Harjeet's tried so far. What exactly did you do? I've spoken to everyone I could find. I woke an old judge from his bed in the middle of the night. He did not take to it kindly. Thank him for his efforts. Thank you for trying. It was all I could do. Archie will be tried. If we can account for his innocence, he may be freed. If we find evidence that someone else was involved, they may be added to the trial. If you find anything, if you have a good explanation for how it wasn't Archie, I'll bring evidence to you. You'll be the first to know. Thank you. I need to craft my theories the way Archie showed me. If I can't build a finished plan, I'll at least be able to come up with some hypotheses. Crafting theories about an unknown motive or method will give me the right questions and let me get answers out of people. The more I learn, the more I'll be able to refine what I ask, or the accusations I'm ready to make. I am always glad to visit Archie on the HMS Ungulate with you. Ask how the neighborhood is doing. All well on the streets? Every day I can walk a little further without getting lost, but sometimes I lose a place again. Do you recall the second-hand clothes man who used to be around the corner? It's about finding familiar garments. Once I found them selling a piece that my mother had made, I recognized her design work at once. It must have passed from owner to servant, from servant to the second-hand shop. A worthy tour. At first I thought the shop was destroyed, but it's moved 2 streets away now. The whole building. Riff on the amusing implications. This could improve on the tram service. All the passengers enter the shop and moves across London, everyone out. It's only gone a couple of blocks in all the months since the fall. It might need a more regular schedule. If you find yourself short of entertainment in Miss Chamberlain's lodgings, you're always welcome to come out and speak with me. I wouldn't mind having someone to talk to on my rounds now and then. I also want to be friends. I would like that. I will look out for you. There are new curiosities every day, and bits of town keep rearranging themselves. I found my way somewhere you might like. It's an easier route than it ought to be. I think perhaps there's an error in the alignment of the streets. Woo! The clock pleases me. Finger pointing at nothing. Sometimes you can hear the river creatures singing here. But mostly I like to enjoy the ruins. We stand and talk for a time. Now and then someone walks by, but mostly we have quiet. The false stars crawl across the ceiling of the Neath. New location to cover, the South Bank. Yay! That was a place I needed to go. Shake my head, declare. The ruminations are gone, all is well. Judging by the clock, I can afford another errand today. Okay, what do we want to do first? Somebody poisoned David. Hoped for wealth, had an unknown purpose, wanted to save patients. Bought more ingredients, confided about a fair, treated David Landau. I think this one is going to be Carringham's. I don't know them. Oh, this is the sibling that she was talking about, right? Carringham's, David, Grizz, Horatia, Ivy, Milton, Londoner, Phoebe, Rachel, someone. Okay. Oh. Archie can only be here. Archie isn't even an option over here. Archie wanted to save patients, so he bought rare ingredients. I don't know the method. And I don't know who else. Was it maybe Ivy? Fought over Milton, fought over Rachel, thought poorly of gentlemen, could use a scandal, wanted health, hoped for wealth, regretted a relationship, had an unknown purpose, was thoughtless. I don't know. I don't know. Well, these ones are the only ones, like, with an exclamation point. Introduce Grizz to Rachel, even though we've already met. Miss Landau, I believe you've met Grizz. Oh, yes, the lady who proved unexpectedly handy with a shovel. Not that handy. I had blisters in the morning. Well worth the effort, however. You seem like you'd know how to use any tool you picked up. Tactfully explain what Grizz needs. Grizz has an avid reader in need of supply. We thought they might particularly appreciate your gifts. How kind of you. My employer would like to pay you to produce stories more quickly. My hands only go so fast. We could provide a secretary, supplies. I'm not sure what a person in your station might need. I can see that. How do you spend your time, then? When I'm not digging my brother out of his grave, you mean? I'm sorry. Yes, definitely in those circumstances. Attending social events until something inspires a return to my desk. Some muses inspire, mine exasperates. But those activities produce what? A list of incidents, alphabetical, to be included in the coming chapters? Characters. Today, a woman creeping backwards into government. No, I have my eyes front, trust me. She's tried to discard her society accent, but she wears gold links in her cuffs. I didn't come to be a literary model. If you want me to write more, it's the best thing you could have done. London's circulating libraries and magazines hold tales by the thousand. Your masters commandeer whatever they wish. I don't understand your difficulty. You're not the only one to ask such questions. Their intentions are hard to read. We've bought books by the wheelbarrow, new and old. Our reader, and there is one particular reader, has rejected everything Pages has brought to him. We will pay for every chapter on the love of Neath-dwelling Londoners. My compatriot Moira will help you. Yeah, sure. If you can tell me what you require. I need a plot about how my heroine recovers from her betrothal to someone left behind on the surface. Just the skeleton of how it happens. I can do the rest. If you could contrive a way for her to end the business, that would be very welcome. All of my thoughts have proven insipid. Rachel plot her next story. Okay. We only want the tales. And the Neath's heartblood. You think I won't be able to help... I won't be able to help writing about my brother's death? This work is for the ministry, not for Old Bailey. Very well. What happened has a certain particular flavor. My master believes it will be toothsome. Toothsome? Well, good to have fair warning when someone means to eat your heart. I don't want your actions called by their name. I will accept more payment for work I was already planning to do. That is all. After Rachel sees us out, we have a thoughtful walk back home. Grizz is silent with her thoughts for a good part of it. If she had any turn for politics, what a politician she would make. Though, of course, they'd never swear her in. But imagine her speeches. Admit I am attracted to Rachel. Decided to being a long connection between Grizz and Rachel. Hell yeah. She is an extraordinary person. I don't think she cared much for me, however. Ask whether it matters. Do you know, I find it does, to me. Usually people judge me on things they do not understand at all. Miss Landau, I fear, may not be making that error. Yeah, she might be judging you on things that are completely factually true. It isn't long until dinner is served. Go straight to the table. I'm in my casual clothes. Ah, my friend. There's a newcomer to the house. You're so protective it might worry you at first. But try to set that aside. This will help with our security, not the reverse. You look solemn, Horatia. The last time was when you told us the supply of cheese had run out. I know we've had a happy little group here, but the time has come. I've taken in a new lodger. I'm doing my best to get Archie sent home. You haven't yet, and we don't know how long it will take. No, but I don't think it's time to give up and move on. What sort of person is this? A man, more or less, from overseas. Do you mean he came down the canal from the surface? No, he originates here below, I think. You should also know he's a clay man, he calls it. Looks like a statue, but he's polite. I like the clay men. And clothed before you get any notions. His board won't come to much then, I suppose. I understand he doesn't eat, no. But he does pay rent. Even if he's the most well-behaved statue you've ever met, it's a risk. It will draw attention, and I don't see the need. Everything we do reflects on Archie now. I need someone who can do for me outside the house. Or hadn't you noticed that I can't go outside anymore? I know you don't go out much. I suppose the last time I saw you go out was to the graveyard. I don't anymore. I do not step through our front door. But the trade is, I can promise you our new lodger won't do anything I don't know about. Hi, buddy. Forgive my clumsy interpolation into your domestic deal. I wish to make myself known to you. I am... He makes a noise like rain running down limestone. I believe the best translation is moss. I hope to learn more about this new city. It is very different from my native Polythreme. What is Polythreme like, Mr. Moss? It is an island far across the sea. Everything has a voice there. My king, he of 100 hearts, reigns over us all. It is often harmonious. There is very little screaming. Silence isn't the same as peace, but I'll take your word on it for the moment. I hope you'll find rest here. If rest is indeed all Mr. Moss is looking for. Encourage Moss to be a help to Horatia. Make a joke to diffuse the situation. Comment admiringly on Moss's form. Decide what relationship I want with Moss. I'm not there yet. We literally just met him. Glad to meet you, especially if you mean to help our hostess. I have received some guidance on her requirements. No doubt there will be more. What motivates a clay man to reside in a boarding house in the first instance? I assume you neither eat nor sleep. The accommodations would seem to be of little value to you. Griselda! No, it is an honest question. This seems a happy place. It makes the sound like water flowing through the spout of a gargoyle. Oh, I was not made for deceit. The king did not fashion these lips for lies. I sought a man in the previous city. I did not find him. I believe he was at odds with the Khans. The who? I have heard they call themselves masters now. Wait, the masters are Khans? I didn't know that. Oh no, they were the residents. They were the residents of the former city who were at odds with the Khans. Got it. They styled themselves after their latest acquisition. But the man is gone, and everything has changed. I hope to find my place and my purpose once more. I'm gonna be charitable. He seems like a decent guy. Perhaps we should let Mr. Moss settle in before we bombard him with questions. Quite right. I'm glad someone retains a sense of manners. In Polythreme, we are always in union. A polyphony makes a pleasant change. I was looking for someone in the last city. Yours falling came as a surprise. There, you see, Mr. Moss requires his rest. I have no wish to be a burden. In Polythreme, what the king wishes to occur, occurs. But there are 3 of you. I will wait for you to reach an accord. I require respite rather than shelter. It will not be an undue inconvenience if I am better to look elsewhere. And he is meant to keep us safe, is he? If I were a housebreaker, I'd give him a wide berth. Besides, Harjeet said he considered it his obligation to help Mr. Moss find a home. That it was a good deed to place him here. If Harjeet thinks the deed makes up for arresting Archie, I have some questions about the moral accounting. Not everyone tallies their good and bad deeds in the double-entry ledger book, Lady Griselda. Whatever the ministry may have told you. But he's right. We're all here if we're all to rub along here, you all need to be comfortable with our new lodger. You live here just as much as I do. I think you're likely to be outvoted, Horatia. No one has a better heart than you. But we must think of Archie. We court suspicion and perhaps the master's anger. If Archie were here, I'd say different. No, Moss can stay. I think we have room for one more. I shall go and tell Mr. Moss the good news, and let him know that he has you to thank. On your heads it be if this goes awry. But I'll do what I can to help smooth things over if the ministry involves itself. I think Moss will be fine. But I don't know what Polythreme has a problem with. The shape coalesces in the attic. Or, more accurately, looms. Oh, hi. I'm sorry if I startled you. I hope we might become better acquainted. And I have several questions regarding my tenancy here. I would have asked the others, but Mrs. Chapman was dozing, and Miss Smith told me she was engaged in important business. Welcome back. We have a new roommate. His name is Moss. I did not realize business constituted the imbibing of wine. I have much to learn. Do let me know when I make an error of etiquette. I am sure there shall be many. I love Moss. I love the Claymen in the originals too. They're so good. I'm more than happy to see you, sir. I live for surprise guests. Oh dear. I hope you are not regularly interrupted. I am always available if required. I've noticed Londoners are averse to poor behavior when I am present. Yeah, I'm sure you scare people into behaving themselves. I cannot think why. I am afraid I did have a question. In Polythreme, our king rang a hollow bronze chime to summon us when required. He favored servants all bear his own image, so both our station and our duties are clear to all. Yeah, but also even, in Sunless Seas, if you've ever seen or played that, you can pick up Claymen and drop them off in various places. They're all pretty chill. Also, they literally cannot lie, so I am afraid I find the etiquette here more confusing. I hoped you could explain my duties. As a lodger in Mrs. Chapman's guest house, Horatio needs errands done. Mrs. Chapman does not leave the house. If you could serve as her messenger outside, that would assist her. I had noted her affinity with the building. It is a relationship I have not observed in Polythreme, but all the same, more like home than most things in Londinium. This seems in line with my expectations. I had one last question, forgive me. But I wondered your thoughts on my behavior thus far. I had hoped to be well liked here, if you could advise me. Just follow what everyone else is doing. Everyone is just muddling along. There is not much muddling where I am from. It is a state of being for boots and urns. But I shall see what I can do. Thank you. I shall leave you to rest. Good night, as they seem to say here. A phrasing that confuses me. It is always night here. Bye, Moss! I love you! You're great! Alright. I'm just gonna play for another half an hour or so, and then I gotta get off and do work again. So we're helping Rachel. We are investigating the murder case, if I can figure out how to do any of that. Taking Grizz to Parliament. Going and checking out the tentacled creatures. Bringing Archie theories. Okay, plenty of stuff to do. 292. Excellent. How's your games going? Grizz leaves me the newspaper after she's read everything of political import. The headline today reads, Ministry of Public Decency bans printing of former London street names. Suspicious. Ooh. Construct a plot for Rachel to get her heroine out of a ruined engagement. Ooh, Grizz is locked in there. The spoiled beauty has lost her betrothed in the fall of London. He was believed to be traveling in France. The spoiled beauty has begun to fear she would never see him again. Meanwhile, they somehow come to her social circle. An unknown did something to the spoiled beauty. The spoiled beauty did something in response. Excellent, excellent. Good to hear it. Mr. Pages, Theophilus, Rachel. What if we do something with Phoebe? The housekeeper somehow came to her social circle. Or Ivy. The adventuress somehow came to her social circle. Plan to open shop. Gave lavish gifts. Regrets nothing or struggled with regrets. Huh. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, you're right. Definitely supposed to be master. Makes sense. Huh. How about we do... Okay, let's see if this works. Spoiled Beauty has lost her betrothed in the fall of London. He was thought to be in France. There was no hope of reunion. Spoiled Beauty has lost her brilliant alliance, and yet society expected her not to accept any other suitor out of faithful devotion. The position was intolerable. A Bohemian gentleman saw an opening to gain the Spoiled Beauty's fortune. The Bohemian gentleman attempted to seduce her. The Spoiled Beauty defiantly declined his offer. The Spoiled Beauty found inspirations for a new art form. A Bohemian gentleman fights regrets. Yeah. Great. All right. Let's go give her plot work. I don't know if this will work, but we'll try it. I find that Rachel has a visitor already. When Phoebe shows me in, they scarcely look up. You'll laugh at me for the warning, but you should be careful. Oh? What Damoclean sword is suspended over me, then? The church preaches against you and all your kind. It's curious. No one understands sainthood better than hell. That won't protect you. They have done nothing to harm us other than to make pronouncements. And barred you from services, haven't they? We were not moved to attend in the first place. Next, they will declare your food unclean and prohibit you from preparing it in your customary way. We don't need to eat more than They will make laws that you cannot practice ordinary trades, trades open to every other Londoner. They will force you to live in particular areas and deny you everywhere else. Yeah, I could see someone of Jewish background empathizing with the devils in this world. Not That sounds really bad out of context if you don't know the story of the games, but the devils are not bad guys in this world. They're just different kinds of creatures. Rachel, it is the church that named you all devils, wasn't it? We are not easily damaged. It's not the same as a human turning against another human. Disbelieve me if you have to. I cannot convince you, I see. I think I may only be agitating you. I've explained it to him in simple terms. He chooses not to understand. I'm sorry. Perhaps he'll understand in time. Most likely only when it's too late. I'll try again later. Offer this plot where the heroine turns to art. Began to explain my proposed plot. The inclusion of a Neath-born character is daring. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do it justice, but I will try. Shake up tradition. She's the ideal person to write it. I think you're exactly the person to write such a thing. There are limits to my powers, and sometimes it is a good thing to be aware of those limits. Nonetheless, it may be interesting to try. From there, I go on to speak about the ending. I admit I hadn't pictured her having any gifts of that kind, but if I sent her into the company of artists and poets, it would open up a new vista of social embarrassment. The possibilities are rich. For a moment, nobody says anything. Grizz and her employer may like this one too. Flirt. I know you like to research these matters, so if there's anything in the story that requires practice, I can only offer my assistance. If you continue like this, you might find some of your bon mots in my next novel. I have something for you. I don't know whether you'll care for it, but if you don't, it probably has some slight value. It was a gift, but for various reasons I don't quite dare wear it myself. I believe it's of devil make. She fishes in her bag and pulls out a gleaming piece of brass jewelry, strangely made. Spearfir's fork. A sort of fork. It shows my allegiance to my yellow-eyed friends. Interesting. Rachel adds a proper payment. Offer my flirtatious thanks. Sally's a delight. Oh, thank you very much. Think nothing of it. There's more if you can take it on from that point. I'll have some work to do putting flesh on all these bones, and there are some points of motivation that I may alter slightly, but it can be used. It can certainly be used. Flirt. I feel there's a connection between us now that we're working together. A shared effort that we share with no one else. Perhaps I'm alone in that. Heavens, intriguing. My business is done. I must return to my writing, I'm afraid. It has certainly been an enlivening conversation. I'm in no hurry to change what we are now. I can just manage another errand today. I'm up to 5 coins. Delightful plot about a heroine's artistic career. A spoilt beauty met someone in a literary salon of infernal origins. It is as yet unclear why someone frequented the place. The spoiled beauty did something to someone, an individual undetermined identity did something in response. Aspired to art. Let's see what some of the motives are. Lack in reputation. Struggles with regret. Okay, let's see. This one is kind of weird because it's just using like stand-ins. An effectual vicar. He wouldn't be there. Man of business. And the constable. Landlady. I think the adventuress. Hoped for wealth. Adventurers frequented the place hoping to meet wealthy patrons of the arts. Composed poetry. Spoiled beauty wrote elevated poetry and shared it with the adventuress. She has it all in her power to promote her work. A happy ending? A tragic ending. Misalliance offered. Okay. We'll try that. Let's go see our boy. See whether Archie needs anything. Archie. Just like this, I should only visit the prison hulk with Archie's escort. Oh. Locals like me alone, but equally they might decide I look taste not to rob. Change. Let's try that. Oh, wait. Actually. You'd offer my help, but my lapel suggests I'm there on some kind of official business. Perhaps it won't matter. Let me try again. Yeah. I don't know what to go with. Okay. So it doesn't super duper matter. Except I haven't tried that. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put my friendly lapel on, and then I guess we'll have to get Harjeet. Because doesn't matter what I do. Hopefully Harjeet will come with me. Okay, he is. Someone to see you, Archie. Are you okay? There's something I wish to discuss. I meant to ask you whether there's anything I can do to help you with. I can help you with. Would you be so good as to bring me a few bits and bobs? He holds out a torn bit of paper on which he scribbled down the names of various ingredients. Some are common enough things on the surface, but they're not all so easy to find here. Others are distinctly peculiar. He drops his voice. The Menace Eradicator can sell you all those. What's the purpose of these? There's some on the ungulate that are starting early signs of scurvy. And there's another matter I mean to look into. Just a lot of those, if you would mind. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll speak to the proprietor on it. Thank you. Buy drugs for Archie. Thought I cursed Archie. If Horatia's in poor spirits, you should ask her around the vicar. He cheers her up. I think she's a soft spot for him. Though I'd be grateful if you did not say I said so. Conversation awaits on Archie. Visit as often as you have a mind to. There's nae much entertainment within. I'ma kiss him. I give Archie a provocative look. Harjeet laughs. Harjeet just laughs at us. Horatia sets the dinner soon afterwards. Okay, so I gotta go buy drugs for him. I'm gonna take the stupid hat off. I don't want them. He's trying to be kind. They are an abomination unto the Lord, and more importantly, an abomination unto me. Can't you make her see sense? Our new lodger's making horrid dolls for reasons best known to himself. Clay versions of us. Please make him stop doing it. Do I have one? And where exactly is my clay me? I think he's working on it. Mine was sweet, though he made me look terribly fierce. Mine had the most outrageous wig. I think he means to make an army. They're not like him. They don't move. Yet. Grizz, be nice. That's awesome! Maz is surrounded by a profusion of little clay men. Oh, I'm sorry. Yours is not ready. That's okay. Several defective grizzes lie discarded, their expressions variously contemptuous or angry. Her hair, too, appears to have been a point of difficulty. But that's awesome! There's something beguiling about the collection. I remember my king in his marble palace, his garden of statues, all made in his image. I thought the other residents here would appreciate a similar gesture. Offer to make the dolls less unsettling. They could be a little less lifelike. That is their genius. But you know the others better. I will take advisement. Moss, I just want people to like you. View of the day. Okay. So still gotta do this for Harjeet. Oh no, apparently I don't know where that shop is at all. Got it. Okay. So much stuff to do. Last day, and then we will end it. I feel like I have not made any progress in sleuthing anything out. As usual, I resort to the morning papers. Headlines today read, London Rechristened, Exclusive Toponomic Guide, Annotations by Dr. Alexander Wind. I still don't know what to do with this. I feel like I haven't made any progress. I don't want to do that right now. Moss could be fun. Spend delicious time with Archie. Where is... Yeah, well, I don't know why that's not lit up. I guess because I have to pay for it and it's not just like available. I don't know. I'm satisfied with this. Good morning, Moira. Would you like company on your rounds? If you wish to come along on my rounds, we can check both sides of the street at once. Should be faster to clear the area. So I check on all the empty houses in the neighborhood and making sure that nothing untoward has moved into them. We do find one house that has obviously been vacated very recently. Harjeet gathers the usable things, a couple of coats, a half-drunk bottle of spirits. He does not say where he thinks the owners have gone. Finally, we work our way back around to our own familiar courtyard. Horatia's house is well anchored. Whatever else moves, Chapman's stays put. Harjeet claps me on the shoulder. New destinations. Menace Eradicator shop. Find any interesting places today? There's a Menace Eradicator shop around the corner in that direction. He points toward a couple of buildings. I can't see the path between them at first. It takes a moment of staring before I notice the alley that cuts between them. Can I ask him about all the destinations while I'm here? Dang it. So we walk together, and every few moments, Harjeet stops to point out a landmark, or draw my attention to the places where the air smells different, or the sounds of church bells can be heard. Ferret's shop. Ferret is the local Menace Eradicator, and there's significant need for their services lately. You got a chunk taken out of your... The sign outside says, this shop belongs to one Ferret. This is presumably is them. Here for a spot of eradication? Suffering from undesired company in your place of lodging by any chance? Try to draw a personal connection? I don't know if this... I'm Moira. Ferret, but you could see that on the shop window. In the times before, my family were tailors. That is, assuming we still exchange names here. Pleasure to meet you. Any chance you might help me mend my traps? I'd be in your debt. Sure. Ordinarily, I would say no, but for you. So I spend a mostly agreeable hour preparing traps and cages. Now and then, Ferret whistles tunelessly. There's something I found that I put by for you. It's been owned before, but it's clean enough. Didn't belong to any rats or spiders. Host of uses for it, too. It's difficult to sell with me or other wares is the only thing. Oh, it's difficult to sell with me other wares is the only thing. In fact, you might say it makes people question the lot and where it all came from. So I'd be grateful if you'd take it off my hands. Prisoner's jacket. This jacket says I've spent time in prison. Ooh! Can I sneak into the boat without Harjeet? Look into Harjeet's goods for sale. A disguise so I can trail people. Something that will blend in with servants. Something that will blend in at the dock. I need Archie's ingredients. I was looking for these. I hand over the list of ingredients Archie wanted. These all for you, then. You've taken up a new medical hobby. Rely on the honor of the criminal fraternity. It's for a friend of mine. You might be acquainted. I'm acquainted with a shopping list at any rate. Wouldn't have thought he was in a position to put himself in the market much these days, so to speak. They have another look at their list. At the list, then a look under the shop counters. I like the ferrets of they, them. Some of these articles are challenging to come by. Got to be compensated for the time and trouble, don't I? That'd be 5 pennies for the lot. I have just the right amount. I'll give you 5 pennies for that batch of ingredients for Archie. It's a fair price. Here you are, then. They push an assortment of bottles and curiosities across the shop counter. Don't drink the one with the white wax on the cork. Come to think of it, don't drink any of them. Do come back, especially if you have anything of a venomous nature that wants looking into. Or if you meet any unlikely urchins that wants to apprentice. I went looking for the ragged school, but they ain't to be found where they used to be. It's time to run another errand today. Person, ferret. All right. Ooh, actually, can I change into my prisoner jacket? And can I go to... Can I sneak on here without... Just like this, I can sneak over to the Hulk without Harjeet and visit Archie on my own. None of the locals will bother me, and I probably won't be kept abroad. Probably. Let's go sneaking! Ah, you've taken a risk coming here without Harjeet. If you don't watch out, they'll pack you up and they'll ungulate beside me. And then where will we be? Gonna tell him about the new district names. I recount the newspaper story. The work of renaming London Street is now finished. I make the story as engaging as I can. Plenty of detail and a fair sprinkling of dramatic pauses. Ah, I won't be forgetting the fall in any hurry. Move lightly to new topics. I laugh but let the subject drop. At night on the ungulate, sometimes you can hear this thing singing in the water. I heard them before, but never as clearly as this. Ask whether there are words. Are there words? Lyrics? Aye. Most nights I cannot remember them by morning. Just sometimes a half-side of a kingdom under water. Deep green water and a throne without a king. Here's your drugs. Brought you your ingredients. Take these. They might not seem much use down here, but if you need to go where you won't be recognized, they're useful when it comes to keeping prying eyes away and taking a dark view of things in general. Posing specs, as if the neath were not dark enough. These are eyewear for a prophet of gloom, an evangelist of nocturnalist fantasy. When I wear them, people can't tell what I'm thinking. Aye, well done. You found more of those than I thought you could. Horatio has not been to visit. You do not know why. I'd hate to think she believes I'm guilty. No, it's not that. She just doesn't leave the house. I'm sure that's not the reason. It's nay what I would have thought she'd do. She's always said a great deal about us being like family to her. For all the family don't pay rent. Do I get to kiss him? You're standing awfully close. Back in Scotland, a person might take that as an amorous advance, standing so close. London matters, of course. You might just be practicing for the omnibus. Call it a seizing. You're toying with me. He leans in the rest of the way to me. Archie kisses as though I might be the thing that saves him. No! As though this might be an experimental cure. What would you say were the effects of that trial? A success? Is the patient improved? Oh, well, the first dose had a notable effect. But you know, it's always best to follow a regimen. Doses on successive days and plenty of observation. We stay like this for a long time until we're forced to remember the rest of the world is out there. Bye, Archie! I should change my clothes before dinner. I shouldn't go down to the dinner table in my prisoner's garb. Oh, I have glasses now. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay. Forgive me for interrupting everybody. I have something I'd like very much you all to see. He was asking me about my work with Mr. Pages. I very much hope I am not about to be confronted with a version of him in clay. The dolls are lifelike, but imprinted with cheeky caricature that reflect the essence of the originals. I hope these are to your liking. I took inspiration from a show near Hogs Lane Market I saw. It involved marionettes and what I took to be a crocodile. These are entirely charming, Mr. Moss. Yours has her nose in the air, Grizz. I did not notice that. Look, yours is wagging her finger, telling somebody off, no doubt. I believe she's emphatically making a point, that's all. I think these will do nicely, Mr. Moss. Agree with the enthusiasm. They're adorable. These are a fine example of their craft. Oh, and you have so few to compare them to. I think they're wonderful. Indeed, even if I'd seen 1,000, I'd venture I'd find these 3 my favorite. I'm glad my work has provided satisfaction. I suppose I have differed from my King's Own project in one crucial respect, however. I could not keep from including your particulars in the project. You are all so fully formed already, I couldn't help but include your character. Very cute. No, I think that was the right way to go about it. I am glad. Artistic expression of this kind is not encouraged in Polythreme. The conductor controls the choir, not the other way around. I am glad my humble efforts find favor here. Speaking of which, I must get back to my tasks. I don't wish to give Miss Chapman cause to fret. They're so cute! Moss! Alright. I'm having fun with this, but I also understand that it's a slower game. So I'm probably going to put up a poll in the Discord whether or not people want me to continue playing this or switch to something else. I will continue playing this on my own at the very least. Yeah, I'm interested to see what other people would rather see more of this, something else. There's so many games out there to play. So I'm going to do that shortly. But we're going to log off now because I have a massive video that is due tomorrow that is not done yet. So I'm going to go do that. Thank you guys all for joining me. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Lights they flicker. and the candles glitter like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pound, pound, pound. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Sure you want to enter, you can turn back now. You don't know where I've been. What's going on inside? Where the monsters like to come alive, come alive. Do you really wanna know me? I'm really not that cozy. It's up to you, so you decide, you decide. Would you love me at my worst till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd. I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're just like it out. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. Broken windows and a warning scribbled on my wall saying that you better turn around. Wouldn't be the first to try to burn me down. Your move, you do. Would you love me at my worst till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse. You know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd. I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're just like it out. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. But could you love a haunted,